What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, coming through once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live over on our Facebook page, along with our YouTube page, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's had a fantastic week so far. We've got a bit of a stacked show for you guys today. We had 6 topics on the docket, and then as of yesterday, they decided to go ahead and drop Across the Spider-Verse, a little first look and sneak peek. We had to certainly go ahead and add that to the docket also. So we have a ton of stuff that we're going to be getting into. But remember, guys, at the end of the day, these are just simply our A-plus opinions. We always want to go ahead and know yours. So let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below to go ahead and push forward some of the discussion of these topics. And then, of course, towards the end of this episode, we will be getting into your guys' live viewer questions. So good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic weekend so far. We're kicking it off right, and it's not just myself. Oh no, we've got the whole gang together. It's so good to see all your handsome faces on screen today. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing, man? I know. Who is that? You can't hear anything? Oh, your mic, Stuart.
My bad.
There you go. What's going on, man? How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, and it's really awesome to get Indy back finally.
Yeah, COVID was good for something.
How are you feeling, by the way?
How are you? Yeah, how are you handling it, man? I'm kicking your ass right now.
I should have went and got that booster. Not getting that booster, that original vaccine. You know what I'm saying, is wearing down. Didn't get the booster, so I'm getting a lot of the symptoms. But
damn.
Better than what I was the original time I got it. So
well, that's good, man. I've been thinking about getting the booster myself. I was actually just talking to the girlfriend, especially with the baby on board now. It's like I almost gotta keep myself locked inside. I'm afraid to go outside. I don't know how to handle this, guys. What do I do?
Yeah, I'm going for the booster at some point this week. I can't remember what my appointment was scheduled for, but luckily I had my girlfriend make the appointment for me and everything. So it's like all the important stuff she usually takes care of.
Yeah, I get you. Well, Indy, man, recover well, bro. And if for some reason, if you got to dip out of here last minute, just go ahead and let us know. We just want you to be in your best health, man. So you take care, bro.
No, being here is being in my best health. So
okay. Hey, I'm not forcing. Look, I'm not forcing him to be here, guys. I'm not forcing the man to be here. But all right, guys, it's so good to see your faces. Let's see here. Who do we got in the house today? We got Marcelino Vasquez in here. Thank you very much, Marcelino, for certainly coming through. We got Shadow Nova in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Datilla's in here as well. She says hello. Good morning, everyone. Just waking up. We just woke up too, so we might have that type of energy. Hopefully it'll gain as the episode continues. And of course, my mom's certainly coming through. Yes, y'all need to get your boosters. Thanks for the advice, Mom. Always coming through with the motherly advice. So yeah. All right, guys, you guys know how we do around here. 6 main topics, but before we certainly get into those topics, I don't know if you guys have any honorable mentions. If not, we have quite a few on my side. But any honorable mentions that you guys saw this week that maybe isn't on the docket that you wanted to go ahead and bring up?
I got one, but Indy technically already talked about it yesterday on Anime Assemble. But JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is finally back.
What season is this?
This is what season? Stone Ocean is what?
That's season 6, I think.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I've never watched a single episode of it, guys. So maybe that's something I got to get on board with. Is it? What is it about? I've seen pictures of it and stuff all the time.
It's basically it's season after season. We're following someone who's part of like the bloodline of the Joestar family, and it's weird because it starts out being about vampires, and then it was about like what was season 2? Nazi vampires, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And then like out of nowhere, season 3, they completely changed the premise. So now it becomes a weird show where it's like they get what's called stands, which are basically like these ghost things that only other stand users can see. And it just becomes like a battle with like their stands battling against other people's stands. And it's just really funny because I've never seen a show just completely change its own premise, but still feel very consistent with, the tone of how it originally started.
You said stands, and I automatically thought Eminem fans. I was like,
it felt like somebody from season 3 really liked Fate Stay Night, and just decided to incorporate what they thought it should be, even though it came out before then. So it
Okay.
was just it's just a weird watch, but I'm really excited. I'm so far in what I watched, Stone Ocean, which everybody had been anticipating and was really happy when we found out that was going to be the next chapter. Is actually really good.
Nice, man. Nice. And I'm glad you brought up Anime Assembled, Stuart. Also, if you guys aren't checking it out every Saturday morning, we got Indy and John Forsaken Powers. They do a great anime weekly show for you guys, Anime Assembled. Go ahead and certainly check it out. A new episode is certainly up on our YouTube page. So if you guys are big anime fans, I mean, these guys are like anime gurus, so they certainly know what they're talking about. It's like that's all they intake throughout the week, it feels like. So definitely go ahead and check them out if you're big anime fans. Indy, any honorable mention that you might have? I know you've been under the weather, man, but I wasn't sure if you had anything.
Bruh, so I finally downloaded Fortnite.
Are you played that The Rock yet?
No, but The Rock's in Fortnite. That's the only reason I downloaded it. Everybody thought I would download it when Naruto got in there. Nah, it took The Rock being in Fortnite for me to download.
The power of Dwayne Johnson, man.
Yeah, he can make you play anything. Very interesting, very good. I'm not enjoying the game at all, but I would do anything for Dwayne Johnson.
Nice, good to know, man. I've only played Fortnite like once. I couldn't get into it either.
Yeah, same. I tried. I did try because it looked like it was a lot of fun, but in execution, and it might have been because I was playing it on a game controller, it's just it took me too long to like really get into it, and so there's too much of a learning curve for me to enjoy it. Pretty much.
No, I get you, man. I definitely get you. Let's see here. Honorable mentions from our side. Just some quick wrap-ups, guys. Think that didn't quite make the docket, but it's important that you certainly know about. Cobra Kai season 4 is almost here. We got ourselves a brand new poster for you guys. December 31st, hitting you New Year's Eve to go ahead and kick off your holidays and New Year correctly. So yeah, Cobra Kai season 4. You guys pumped for this season, man? I really am.
Definitely.
They said Terry Silver, and I'm there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially not only that, but after everything that they've really been building up from the ending of the previous season, yeah, I'm definitely just ready to see how it all like comes together.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Let's see here. Next up, we have an exclusive photo directly from the Batgirl set to let us know that production on Batgirl has officially started, guys. I mean, we've had a couple of casting announcements already. Brendan Fraser is supposed to be playing Firefly, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the villains. Leslie Grace is going to be starring in her second role ever as Batgirl, coming off of Into the Heights, which was a fantastic musical on HBO Max. But this is the very first photo to let us know production has started. This actually felt like it started rather quickly. I wasn't expecting it to be in front of cameras already.
Yeah, I wonder if they just had like more stuff ready to go earlier than it was announced, but they just kind of announced it right before production.
I'd be totally honest with you. Until you posted it, I didn't know what was going on. Right now I'm so far into Batwoman and how good the story is. They actually wrote a good story for a change. So I'm so far into that, but I am looking forward to this just because of the castings that we have so far.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Batwoman season 3 so far. But yeah, Batgirl is certainly headed our way. It is going to be a film on HBO Max, but production has officially started. Also, for you Superman and Lois fans, and even you Power Ranger fans out there, Amy Jo Johnson, I believe, is in the process of wrapping up her final day of directing episode number 6 of the second season of Superman and Lois. She went ahead and posted this photo of her on her Instagram and Twitter accounts. Pretty cool photo, honestly, getting an opportunity to see a former Power Ranger and Superman standing next to each other. And Amy Jo Johnson is just so incredibly talented, but she's getting an opportunity to be in the director's chair. Stuart, I know you follow Superman and Lois as our reviewer. How excited are you for episode 6 of next season?
Oh man, I think I'm just more intrigued than anything else, just because I didn't even know Amy Jo Johnson had ambitions with being a director. So I'm really excited to see how it comes out. Also, okay, so I'm not sure if it's just me or not, but the red on Superman's suit here looks really bright. So I'm wondering if it's like a change to the costume or if it's just maybe the photo that was taken here.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they just add or change colors a little bit in post production. Same thing with the suit. I'm sure they probably make the suit a little bit on Tyler, because you know how tiny he is compared
Oh
to all the
yeah.
other Supermen in the world. So I'm sure they do some CGI work in post.
Oh, probably. But yeah, regardless, though, I am definitely looking forward to seeing what it looks like when she's behind the camera now.
Are you pumped for this, Indy?
I am pumped. I've seen a lot of her directorial work. She has some
Oh, nice.
great indie films out there that she has
Okay.
done, and even the couple of music videos she done were actually really
What?
good, just from the
That's cool.
aspect of how she sees stuff, you know what I'm saying, in the lens, and you know what I'm saying, the shots and stuff she calls. Um in particular, like a shot can change everything. I was watching The Harder They Fall, and the shot going from when they were from when dude was standing inside the building, and then it went out to like the church, you know what
Oh
I'm
yeah, all the
saying,
way
and see
down
the
all the way down the
yeah,
road.
that shot, drone shot, had to be a drone shot, maybe it was a camera line shot. It was an amazing shot, you know what I'm saying, for that perspective and what was going on. And I look at her seeing different things and shooting different perspectives like that. So I'm curious to see. I wouldn't have took this picture because Tyler, she is tiny, and this is doing you no good, you know what I'm saying, as Superman at all.
Yeah, right. Because Tyler's already small as it is, so I think this really goes to show Amy's height for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, I didn't know she did other directorial stuff too, but especially not music videos. But I guess with her being a musician, also that's probably like right up her alley. So that's pretty cool. Next up, guys, we did get ourselves a new and probably maybe final trailer for the upcoming Peacemaker HBO Max series. Gave us a little bit more insight into the relationship between Peacemaker along with his dad, getting the opportunity to see Vigilante a little bit more with his mask off, and just seeing some of the comedy duo that these two seemingly are going to be throughout this particular series. And then of course his supporting cast, that's his new backup team, if you will, that's really helping him out through his missions and stuff. I tell you, man, the more and more I see of this, I cannot wait for it. It looks bonkers. It looks odd. Like it really does look like it's coming from the mind of James Gunn. And this feels even more unique, I feel like, of what James Gunn has done before in the past. But I'm really looking forward to it. The humor is certainly there. It looks wacky. I feel like this is right up John Cena's alley in regards to what his personality matches. I really can't wait to see exactly how this is fleshed out in an entire series. But I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check out the trailer, but if you have, what have you guys thought about it so far? What's your level of anticipation?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm I'm anticipating this show, but for a different reason, and it's because of my love for the Orange is the New Black and what
Yeah.
Diane Guerrero has been able to do. You know what I'm saying? Post that, I am really looking forward to what Danielle is going to do in her role. You know what I'm saying, on this show, because everybody that came from Orange is the New Black, you know what I'm saying, can act, and I really want to see her play something else, you know what I'm saying, other than Tasty.
And she looks like she actually has a pretty significant role in this too. It's not like, I mean, we've seen her in some of the images and trailer of like her teaming up with Peacemaker or like directly going on missions and stuff. So I am kind of curious. I definitely agree with you. I do want to see how she's certainly handled in here for sure, especially after her time on Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I think everything I've seen from the trailers is basically everything I've been wanting to see ever since they announced the Peacemaker TV show. So I'm definitely 100% excited for this. I think what I'm really curious about more than anything is, the moment, because it's a James Gunn production. So, he's going to try to actually tug at the heartstrings at some point. So I'm really curious when that's going to kick in this show and how they're going to present it, and if it's going to be presented in a good way or not.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely struggling with a little bit of a dilemma. The idea that, one, you get to see clearly in the latest trailer what his relationship with his father's like, just who his father really is, and you can kind of see those similarities on when it comes to the Peacemaker at times. But there definitely is some growth when it comes to the Peacemaker character, right? I mean, he always has had that moniker of really willing to do anything. It doesn't matter who he has to kill, women, children, whatever the case may be. But it seems as though now he's having a little bit of dilemma when it comes to maybe pulling the trigger and having to kill some kids or whatever the case might be, right? So there definitely seems to be a human aspect that is somewhere deep inside the Peacemaker, and it should be pretty fun and definitely pulling at the heartstrings, like you mentioned, Stuart, to see what that character is going to look like at the end of this particular season. So yeah, Peacemaker, guys, January 13th. Let me just double check that date because this honorable mention side's in the way. Yeah, January 13th on HBO Max, guys. So definitely go ahead and get ready for that, especially if you were a big fan of his from the Suicide Squad. And then last but not least, guys, before we dive into the topics, we got some brand new No Way Home posters, some character posters, mind you, as we get the opportunity to go ahead and check out some of the villains in here. And my thing is not loading for me as of right now. Do you guys see the No Way Home posters?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's not loading up on my side. So anyway, we've got the Green Goblin that was up here first. They also went ahead and showcased Doc Ock along with Electro as well. Do you guys have any favorites?
Electro, except that was a really, really bad Photoshop. His head is entirely too big for that suit, but that suit looks amazing.
And I love the little arc reactor too. I love how they really make that a focus on his poster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he needs it because maybe traveling dimensions caused him to lose his powers or something, and this is what powers him back up. So I think like Electro's the one I'm most curious about because all the others match exactly how they looked like in their previous movies, like with Doc Ock and the Green Goblin. But Electro looks so different compared to like what he was like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, like with his electrical powers being a very different color and everything. So I'm curious for the explanation for that.
It's more. I'm sorry. It's more to me. It looks like it's going to end up being more of a comic-based Electro instead of whatever the hell they were trying to do in Amazing Spider-Man 2, making him just a blue ball of lightning. But I'm wondering if the arc reactor keeps his powers in check or amplifies them, because maybe this Electro that we're dealing with isn't as powerful as the one that we saw in Amazing Spider-Man 2, because that's one thing they did. They overpowered the crap out of Electro in that movie.
Yeah, they did. I think I want to say the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro was inspired by the Ultimate Spider-Man version of Electro. I could be wrong though, but yeah, one of my favorites. So I really do love the Doc Ock one. Again, I'm a big Alfred Molina fan, so I absolutely do love this one. And the Green Goblin one's not too bad itself. They actually did have recently, as of yesterday, I think they had a panel of villains. They sat down with William Dafoe, Alfred, and Jamie Foxx and talked a little bit about the movie. They even went ahead and released like brand new photos of William Dafoe as the Green Goblin, which I thought was pretty spectacular to watch. But yeah, if you guys are excited for this movie, go ahead and let us know what one of your favorite posters was coming out of this film when it comes to the villains here, guys. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for all of our honorable mentions today.
Cool.
If you guys can find the William Dafoe Green Goblin photo that just released as of last night, I believe, if one of you can find it and upload it, I think that'd be pretty cool because it definitely gives me vibes of like classic Green Goblin, which I'm a big fan of. So let's see here. Anybody else? Let's see. Datilla says, I watched the trailer to the Peacemaker. I liked it. Definitely going to check out this series. Yeah, I definitely would recommend it for sure. And then Datilla says, I wonder if WWE is going to promote this or if Cena will return to promote his series. What do you think, Indy? Do you think we'll see Peacemaker promoted on WWE at any point?
I think anything in the world right now is going to be promoted on WWE after that horrible friggin' Red Label or whatever the Rock movie did was, and they had
Red Notice.
Red Notice, and they decide they want to do a whole friggin' segment about a friggin' golden egg and bring Vince McMahon. Dude, like, no. Cena is to the point that The Rock is right now. That yes, they made like several $1 million to promote that, but Cena doesn't need that. This show doesn't need that. But
well, I will say this: the show comes on January 13th, I believe. That's feeling very Royal Rumble season. So I'm wondering if maybe a John Cena return is possible. Maybe he comes down to the ring as Peacemaker or something like that for the Royal Rumble as one of the entries.
No, don't do that.
He loves wearing that suit, dude. He loves wearing that suit.
I can see him popping up like in a segment or something, or there's a day where they're honoring you know what I'm saying, former champions and him like pop up in the suit or something like that. But nah, I'm not for a whole Peacemaker in the Royal Rumble. Don't do that. Don't cut all these stars to bring Peacemaker into the Royal Rumble.
That's something Vince would do, man. That's something Vince would do. So we'll see. But I'm definitely looking forward to the series also, Datilla. All right, guys. With that out of the way, that certainly wraps up all of our honorable mentions. And now it's time to dive into our main topic. So you guys ready to go ahead and get into this goodness that is today?
Always.
Let's go. We got some good topics.
We got some great topics today. As of yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, late in the evening, if I'm not mistaken, they finally released a sneak peek, or I should say a first look at the upcoming sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, titled Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, mind you. I was not expecting this to certainly be broken down into 2 parts. Doesn't surprise me that we're getting a trilogy of films, though, when it comes to Miles Morales. But we got our first take of getting the opportunity to see what this sequel is certainly going to look like. A grown-up Miles Morales, which looked fantastic. Getting the opportunity to see Gwen Stacy certainly return as Spider-Gwen, and really just seeing the type of dimensions that Miles Morales is certainly going to be going through during this adventure. A brand new costume also, which looks slick. It's simple as can be, but that logo just really does it for me. But he looks great swinging. The animation looks incredible. It almost looks like it went through like 2 or 3 different variations of animation just through this one trailer that we wind up getting. And then, of course, getting an opportunity to see Spider-Man 2099 pop up in here also was incredible. Looking buff as ever, honestly. I'm really kind of curious to see what adventure certainly awaits Miles Morales in here. Again, this was just a first look, just a sneak peek, so we didn't necessarily get full details in regards to the storyline as to what we can certainly expect. But it looks like it's going to be pretty damn interesting, and certainly one that definitely has grabbed my attention. So you guys have gotten the opportunity to go ahead and check out the trailer yourselves. What are some of your first initial thoughts on it?
I think one of the coolest things about the trailer was seeing how the art style completely changed the moment he crossed into another dimension. And I really hope that's something that we get to see throughout the entire film. The idea of, like, depending on what dimension he's in, the art style could completely change altogether. I like that. That comes off as extremely creative. I also did not see the part 1 part of the title coming at all. Like, I kind of figured, I figured there had to be a trilogy in the works for this franchise. I just didn't expect like it to be already them so confident for the 3rd movie that they're ready to call this one part 1. Or at the very least, it means that whatever plot we're going to have in this one is apparently going to be so big it can't be told in one movie. So there's a lot about this I'm looking forward to, for sure.
What about you, Indy?
Thank you, Shadow Nova, because that's exactly what I was thinking, sir. I don't think it's the same 2099 Spidey we got at the end of the other movie. I think it's another variant. I think I don't know if they're gonna do. This is interesting because it has me baffled, and normally comic book stuff doesn't have me baffled on which route they're taking. I love the animation. I'm lost on how many years it's been, because like everybody keeps telling me, oh, he's in college now. They talked about dorms. I'm like, no, there's schools in New York that have dorms that are high schools. I don't know if he's, you know what I'm saying, still in high school and in a dorm, or if he's in college and in a dorm. Because if he's in college and he's on punishment, or grounded, that seems odd to me.
And his dorm, by the way, is much more adult, by the way, just in case you.
yeah, because it's much more adult and it's much more clean. Him being grounded, and then the whole Gwen's like, well, can Spider-Man come out? And him having to think, am I going to get in trouble for this? But it also shows you that his parents still don't know who he is. It's still in that whole scene, you find out that he still hasn't let anybody know his identity. So he's still keeping his identity a secret. Spider-Man is still a protector. And it's just interesting the way that's going to go. And obviously they have some way to travel across universes with no issue now.
Yeah, it
So
looks if you look at Gwen's wrist, she looks like she's got some sort of, I don't know if that's her web slinger or not, or if that's something that allows her to help teleport across dimensions. I think you can, if you look closely, I think even on Spider-Man 2099, you might be able to see something similar. Also, again, I don't think those are web shooters, but they look more like something that would help you jump dimensions if that's the case. But I'm glad you brought up the Gwen stuff, because that's one of the aspects of Into the Spider-Verse I was a big fan of, was just the chemistry of those two characters. And so the fact that she's returning, knowing the feelings that Miles certainly has towards her and stuff, it feels very innocent yet fun. And I'm really looking to kind of see what that relationship kind of gets explored a little bit further. But it looked great just getting just seeing them hop dimensions like that.
she trying to put some miles on Miles.
What I think might be going on is I feel like he's probably being framed for something and she's trying to save him, because it seemed like right as she came for him, that was when you had the Spider-Man 2099 going after him. So I'm wondering if like they think he's going to do something in the future, or if he's just been framed for a crime and Gwen's like the only one that knows that he's innocent.
So
But
Flash
like
Armageddon.
other Spider-Man probably, yeah, exactly. Spider-Man Armageddon, but like it involves a multiverse of Spider-Man going after Miles.
I kind of dig that.
That's actually probably exactly what it is, because she seemed like she was trying to lure him away from the situation, knowing something was coming, except trying not to scare him or be so urgent about it, trying to keep him calm. You know what I'm saying? Just follow me.
Exactly.
There was another wasn't there a big Spider-Verse crossover event in the Spider-Man comics like 3 years ago?
Spider-Geddon.
I think that was it, but I thought it was like a vampire or somebody that like specifically killed people that were like Spider-Man, and they all had to like team up from different dimensions and stuff like that to go ahead and take him out. I can't remember. Do you remember what that storyline was?
Yeah, and it's like it was Superior Spider-Man had one squad. And then they were protecting Peter Parker in a dimension that was being held by Cosmic Spider-Man, because they couldn't be seen, and Cosmic Spider-Man was so powerful they wouldn't come after him. I remember what you're talking about, and it was like it was a team of people, and they stayed immortal by killing they only hunted Spider-Man. They didn't hunt anybody else, because like in their universe, Captain America, Iron Man, like everybody was still there. They only hunted spiders. I know what you're talking about.
I was kind of curious if maybe that's a route that they were going to take, but I kind of dig the Stewart's idea that they wind up having also. This feels very much like it's not just going to be one dimension that he goes through. I mean, the title's literally across the Spider-Verse. Any opportunity you think here that we finally get to see Miles as a live action, that he goes into a dimension that literally plops him from animated form into human form? I don't know if that's something that we would see in, say, part 1, but I'm kind of hoping that's something promising and pretty ambitious for maybe a part 2 at some point.
If Sony wants to make me jump out of my seat, that's how they should end the movie. Like, I agree. Very last scene should be him going into a dimension where suddenly there's no longer animation; it's now live action.
You shouldn't even be able to see him. Like the camera should be his eyes.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
And then he turns around and sees his uncle, and it's just Childish Gambino just standing there.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
That would be so great. Right. That'd be so great. But yeah, go ahead.
Or if they want to be real slick about it, he pops up, and from a different perspective, it's a scene that happened in friggin' No Way Home, and then he just looks, and you know what I'm saying, he's panning, and he just sees the battle, and you just see him pop out. If they, you know what I'm saying, if they want to do something like that, and that'd be a cool way to connect everything that's going on, like a cool little Easter egg where it doesn't have to have a big, you know what I'm saying, woohoo to go about everything, but it's just a good Easter egg for fans. Like, oh, dude, he was there and we didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to kind of see how they might pull something off like that. But It should be fun. I would be kind of curious to know exactly how far part one and part two are going to be. If this is a case of like, hey, this is why it's taken us so long to bring you the sequel, because we've been working on both films at the same time. Maybe separate them at a year at a time. I'd be kind of cool with that if that's the route that they certainly want to go. But this looks ambitious, man, and it definitely has me excited. I think Into the Spider-Verse really surprised a lot of people. Some people have it as their favorite Spider-Man film of all time, which I certainly can't argue against. So they definitely have a steep hill to climb in order to go ahead and do as good as they did with the first one. But when you've got somebody like Lord and Miller in charge of this, I think they might be onto something. And speaking of which, Entertainment Weekly, Attila says if they do a live action scene, I think they should do it at the end of part two. Yeah, if anything, I think that's something that you hold off into part two. You spend part one introducing us to a bunch of different Spider-Men across the universe for sure. And then hopefully by part two, finally bring him in live action form. Because I do think it's time that Miles Morales gets something in live action at this point in time. But speaking of Lord and Miller, Entertainment Weekly had an interview, an exclusive interview with them once this particular trailer dropped. I haven't had the opportunity to read it myself, so this will be the first time I'm diving into it with you guys. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is from Entertainment Weekly, EW.com. Miles Morales is back in first look at Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. It says Miles Morales is swinging back into the Spider-Verse not once, but twice. Sony dropped the first footage of the much anticipated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel on Saturday, teasing the return of everyone's favorite Brooklyn-based web-slinging wonderkind. It says the teaser also revealed the official title of the sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it says Part 1. Yep, that means Miles, voiced once again by Shameik Moore, is getting 2 sequel movies. During an interview, Twitter Q&A on Saturday, returning writers and producers Lord and Miller explained when they sat down to continue Miles' story, they realized they had more ideas than they can fit into a single film. This is what they said. Miles' story is an epic. We wrote what we thought the story needed to be, and to our surprise, we realized it was 2 movies instead of 1. We're working on them both as we speak. Part 2 will be out. Hey, they're answering the question for me. Part 2 will be out sometime in 2023. We will sleep again in 2024. It says if the Oscar-winning film was set largely in Miles' world, the new one promises to hop across different universes. We see footage of Haley Steinfeld's Spider-Gwen returning to visit Miles, and they also say every dimension looks and feels radically different from all the others. Lord and Miller teased they all look like they were drawn by different artists. That's pretty fucking badass if you ask me. We also get an action-packed look at Miles facing off against Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, voiced by Oscar Isaac, who first surfaced in at an end credit sequence for the first film. I didn't even know, honestly, guys, that Oscar Isaac did the voice for Miguel, but I think that's a great catch. And then when asked, Lord and Miller were cryptic, only revealing Miles will reunite with some old friends and meet a lot of new ones. So there you have it, guys. Part 1 dropping in 2022, part 2 dropping in 2023. And like we mentioned, just from seeing the trailer, the idea of him jumping through dimensions and seeing it looks like different art styles that are happening. They are, in fact, confirming it. You're going to see radically different dimensions, all looking different, drawn by different artists, clearly with that same sort of 3D effect that we usually have come to know from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But some great reveals here, man. I think, if anything, this gets me even more pumped for these sets of movies, honestly, and it has me even more intrigued when we get a full trailer. How many more different art styles and art forms are we actually going to go ahead and see? I'm pumped that they're giving some artists and some the shine to go ahead and work on such a big movie like this. But you hear this type of stuff, guys, what are your thoughts initially?
Definitely everything I was hoping I would see from just a simple like tease of what we're getting into the Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, like I'm just excited for all of it, especially with the different art styles from different dimensions. I can't remember. Did you say it was, or that it's going to look like it's drawn by different people?
I want to say he said it was going to. Let's see. Every dimension looks and feels radically different from all the others. They all look like they were drawn by different artists. So it says they look like they were. So maybe they aren't, but maybe just the art style is a little bit different. So yeah, that's I don't know. How do you take
Yeah.
that, Indy or Stuart?
I mean, it's still brilliant regardless. It sounds like it is going to be kind of like the same team working on every dimension that he goes to, but at the same time, they're going to make it feel completely different, which to me is still just as much takes just as much talent and creativity. So I think that's it's something I didn't know I was looking forward to about this movie until they brought it up, and now that now that I know this is a new thing that they're going to be doing in the movie, I'm really excited to see how it looks on the big screen.
Yeah, I agree with you. What about you, Indy? You hear some of the things that they're certainly talking about. The idea that when they sat down to make this movie, they realized they had a bunch of more ideas so big that now it's an epic and they had to turn it into 2 films. Him possibly meeting brand new Spider-Man across these dimensions. What are some of your thoughts in regards to all that?
I'm actually 110% for it. If anything has showed us, even from the Star Wars anime joint, you know what I'm saying, on Disney Plus, just
Oh
having
yeah.
different artists and stuff work on, you know what I'm saying, different things, make stuff look incredible. Each individual episode from that looked drastically different from the next, but did not take away from the beauty of what we got. You know what I'm saying? That's a complete whole. So I'm feeling that it would be intriguing to do this like this. I can see everybody having their favorite parts. You know what I'm saying? I can feel like a lot of nostalgia come in if they decide to do, you know, some style of anime that we're more familiar with. Think about the capabilities of having somebody like Spider-Ham, you dropping into his universe and everything is done in the same animation as like the Looney Tunes. You know, and or you know what I'm saying? I'm geek for Spider-Man Noir. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And getting dropped into his world and seeing that animation style, you know, like Dick Tracy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Jumps out to me. I'm this makes me anticipate this particular movie that much more.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree with you. I didn't know that they were going to be jumping into different art styles and art forms, but I think that's pretty cool. I mean, just the tease alone in the first look definitely had me intrigued. So yeah, I would be interested to see where else new that they go that we haven't quite seen that animation style before. So yeah, I'm really excited for this.
Would love to see him jumping into either Penny Parker's universe or the Spider-Man like
He said Penny
70s
Parker.
series universe, so we get an anime looking Spider-Man scene.
Oh yeah, from the 1970s Japanese Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. I
That
would
would be
love to
pretty
just
cool.
see like a really cool anime art style dimension that he jumps to.
Didn't they have a Spider-Man mecha? Didn't wasn't there a spider robot in
Yep.
the series too? So
Uh-huh.
yeah, maybe we get that on the screen also. That'd be pretty neat to see.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Any other? I will say this: the idea of him saying that he's going to meet new Spider-Man or have new friends that he winds up meeting. Any idea as to just based off of some of the characters that we saw in the first one? Are there any other variants of Spider-Man out there that you would certainly like to see him get the opportunity to meet? I think for me, Ben Reilly is certainly on one of them. I would love to see maybe a version of him pop up somewhere. But any other type of Spider-Man in the comics or from animation that you've seen in the past, you would like to see him bump into?
Man Spider.
Ooh, okay. I
Hmm.
like that one. I like that one.
I want to
Yeah,
see
for
him.
me, oh, sorry.
No, I want to see him have to fight Man Spider. And then have to deal like, how did this happen? You know what I'm saying? Type deal. Although I think Miles will have an easier time considering he has mutant abilities as well, kind of. So even though they haven't stated that yet, but might be getting ahead of myself. But I want to see them fight Man Spider.
Yeah, I just really want to see 1970s Japanese Spider-Man in here because yeah, not only just because I think the show was really unique for the time, but just because I think it would be really cool to see that mech, that suit in like an animation form where I feel like they could do a lot more with it than they could if it was live action.
I would also probably take the 1990s Spider-Man animated series.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
would love to see that version of Peter Parker maybe pop up in this particular movie also, and just that animation style too. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. But guys, let us know your thoughts if you've had the opportunity to check out the very first look of Spider-Man across the it's like a tongue
across
twister.
the
Jesus Christ.
Spider-Man
Across
the
yeah.
Spider-Verse.
Part one.
One.
Let us know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below.
Don't forget the part one. They'll kill you if
Yeah,
you forget
don't forget
one.
the part one. Don't forget the part one. It's a tongue twister already, right? Like I was so used to Into the Spider-Verse. Now I got to remember Across the Spider-Verse. So yeah, guys, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. This is actually, to be honest with you, this feels very much like a Spider-Man edition episode of APlus Hero Report today, because I didn't know we were going to be talking about so much Spider-Man, honestly. But we go from Miles Morales to Peter Parker, ladies and gentlemen. And look, one of the things that we talked about on this show as of last week, right? There were very cryptic messages from Tom Holland himself saying, this is, if I'm playing Spider-Man into my 30s, then I've certainly done something wrong, right? Really putting out the idea that maybe he's done as Spider-Man, making the idea that, hey, maybe it's time for a live action Miles Morales to certainly step in. There have been a lot of reports and interviews lately that have certainly made Spider-Man No Way Home feel very much like an endgame scenario for this Tom Holland, making some people wonder, are we going to get a new Spider-Man? Are we getting more movies? What's certainly happening here? How could, if they wanted to, continue to utilize Tom Holland before he hits his 30-year-old mark, since he clearly doesn't want to be playing Spider-Man that much after that particular age? But look, so we talked about it. We debated about it. How much more Spider-Man are we going to be getting? I know some of us talked about the idea of maybe we can get 2 more films out of him, right? Maybe help him launch and lead into a Miles Morales Spider-Man film or whatever the case may be. Well, guys, Stuart, Indy, I don't feel like we were far off. I don't think we were too far off in regards to this idea, but it seems as though Amy Pascal, the producer over at Sony, has officially let us know that, according to her, there are more Spider-Man movies certainly coming our way, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and dive into this and really kind of nitpick at this a little bit and see what's fact, what's fiction. Are they getting ahead of themselves? Let's go ahead and talk about this. It says Spider-Man No Way Home producer Amy Pascal reveals more about the historic film and confirms Tom Holland's future as Spider-Man. She goes on to say in here, let's see here. It says, with tickets now on sale, Fandango spoke with producer Amy Pascal, who was not only an integral part of the early Spider-Man film franchise starring Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but she also is a key figure in negotiating the game-changing collaboration between Sony Pictures, which owned the film rights to Spider-Man, and Marvel Studios, which makes films and TV shows for Disney's MCU. Pascal was quick to confirm that Sony will continue to collaborate with Marvel Studios on Spider-Man movies. Those movies will indeed star Tom Holland. This is what she says. She says, this is not the last movie we are going to make with Marvel. This is not the last Spider-Man movie, Amy Pascal revealed. We are getting ready to make the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Marvel. We're thinking of this as 3 films, and now we're going to go into the next 3. This is not the last of our MCU movies, is what she certainly came out and said. So big words here, guys. Big words from Amy Pascal. From the way that I certainly read this, it seems as though there is further collaboration certainly happening between these two. What's interesting, though, Stuart and Indy, I want to go ahead and bring up, The Hollywood Reporter also has an article that's out right now that's currently stating the same very thing that Amy Pascal certainly talked about, but with a little bit of a twist here. So they go ahead and they quote Amy Pascal for what she says, and The Hollywood Reporter adds, sources note that though the studio has a strong relationship with Holland and Feige and hopes to continue their collaboration, there are no official plans for the trilogy at this phase. So sources that work at Sony are saying, as of right now, there's no official plans for a trilogy at this phase, even though Amy Pascal, for the most part, sounds pretty confident that this is certainly going to happen. Tom Holland himself even came out recently and said, listen, all I'll say is we have some very exciting things to be talking about. I don't know what those things are or what they will transpire to mean, but it looks like it's an incredibly bright future ahead. As I've said before, Spider-Man will forever live in me. That's exactly what Tom Holland said after the tickets went on sale, after Amy Pascal certainly said what she said. So it seems very much like Tom Holland is clearly on board, but he has no idea what's truly going on behind the scenes. It seems like it sounds very much like maybe he's heard this news for the very first time himself, and now he's just trying to like, yeah, I'm sure we've got something really exciting planned for you guys. Oh, I'll let you know when I know type of mentality here. So again, Amy Pascal confirming or at least mentioning her point of view that yes, this is not the last Spider-Man film. They plan on making another 3 and continuing to collaborate with Marvel in here for MCU movies, is how she certainly mentions it. Let me go over to you first, Indy, here and get your thoughts. How are you feeling about this news from Amy Pascal? With the sources saying that there's nothing official as of yet, Tom seems a little bit up in the air, but he seems on board. Do you think this is Amy Pascal maybe getting a little bit ahead of herself, or do you think this is in fact something that's really going to happen at some point in time?
This isn't the first time this has happened. We all remember the meme of how Kevin Feige looked when he had to sit next to Amy
Amy
Pascal when she
Pascal,
was
that's right.
talking. This to me feels like this is her way, because I don't even really think, does she still work with Sony? I think the only thing
I don't
she's
believe so.
attached to is the Spider-Man film. Like the only
Mhm.
reason she's there is because she's a consultant. So for her, she needs this to continue in order to be to have a job, you know what I'm saying, or of be of some, you know what I'm saying, assistance to what's going on. So I would lay the groundwork for something like that to happen in her position. It's very smart to play this because it forces Sony and Disney to do something, or at least come to the table in order to do something. So why not? Um, with how well these movies do, if Tom Holland would like to do another set of movies, because he's 25 now. I think he was born in like 96 or something like that.
Mhm.
So you got the span of maybe 4.5 years in which you can make 3 more movies, which is kind of pushing it. You know what I'm saying, to do 3 movies. Or you could probably get 2. You could probably get 2 done at least. And probably get him to sign on for 1 more. You know what I'm saying, as he's 30 or older. In order to get him to do that, the smart thing would be is to lay that out there, because you know how fans work. You tell them they can have something that they want, and if you take it away from them, it will affect this movie. So it's the smartest thing in the world on her point to do. I would love another trilogy, because that's one thing that we never got. We never got more than 3 movies from any other Spider-Man. And for Tom Holland to be able to do something like that would be incredible. And to me, it would cement him as the Spider-Man, because he's the only one that went past 3 movies. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go, but I'm also curious to see where they want to take the story, because I would love these next 3 Spider-Man movies to all be buddy. People are going to hate this, but to all be buddy movies. I love to see Daredevil and Spider-Man together. I would love to see a live action Miles Morales and Spider-Man together. I would even love to see a Wolverine, you know what I'm saying, and Spider-Man, you know what I'm saying, movie them together, and use Spider-Man in the same way that you kind of used Iron Man to usher in other, you know what I'm saying, superheroes to bring up under him.
I definitely like where your mindset is at. I feel like it's something that we definitely talked about last week, in the sense of I think you could probably get 2 more Tom Holland movies out of him, maybe even a third, especially if it's just like a cameo, or you're utilizing him to really push forward maybe a Miles Morales. So I do think that they could certainly still be on track to do something like that. For me, I guess my mindset was very much, maybe the idea is to take Tom Holland and put him into the Sony universe that they're creating. Because if to me it feels weird that, in the sense that, hey, if we're creating these Sony films without Spider-Man, I would think at some point in time you would want to certainly bring him in. But look, you've got somebody like a Michael Keaton that's coming over from the MCU being put into a Morbius movie. I guess that doesn't necessarily exclude the idea that if you wanted to take Jared Leto as Morbius from his movie, and then in another sequel of Spider-Man bring him into the MCU, I guess maybe they just have that collaboration where something like that is possible. But I also love what you said, Indy, in the sense that if we do get 3 more films from Tom Holland, that will truly cement him as like the Spider-Man. Not to say that everybody certainly can't have their own favorite Spider-Man, but maybe your mind will automatically go to Tom Holland as the Spider-Man after we get done with all the, these future 3 trilogy films. But let me go throw this over to you also, Stuart. You hear this from Amy Pascal that, is she getting ahead of herself here? Do you think that there are certainly plans behind the scenes in the works? Do you think Tom Holland knows more than he's letting on? How do you take what Amy Pascal is saying, that they still have plans for another trilogy?
I don't necessarily know if I'd say she's getting ahead of herself. What I think it all kind of comes down to is that Tom Holland doesn't seem like he's very much in the know about what their future plans are with Spider-Man, whereas Amy Pascal is. And so what I think it is that this is just kind of like she's kind of announcing it to Tom at the same time that she's announcing it to everyone else that, hey, we do have another trilogy planned for Spider-Man. And Tom, not wanting to look like he's completely out of the loop, is going, well, apparently there's big plans. Yeah, totally, guys. That's how I kind of imagine it playing out in my head, but I could be totally wrong. So I think the only reason previously when we were talking about Tom Holland's future in the MCU and he was mentioning that he was very uncertain about it, he said he was really more down to pass the mantle more than anything else. I think it just kind of comes down to the fact that he's just very uncertain about his future because Sony and Disney kind of keep it all really hidden from him a lot of times. So I think he's just trying not to get people's hopes up for him to be in more Spider-Man movies. And, if that time does come for him to finally leave the MCU, kind of preparing fans to know that, hey, just because I'm leaving, that doesn't mean I'm gone as Spider-Man. That doesn't mean my time as Spider-Man was never important. It just means you're not going to see any more of me as Spider-Man. But, that's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, is what I feel like Tom is trying to go for when trying to ease the fans into the idea of him leaving Spider-Man. But, I think currently he looks like he's still enjoying Spider-Man. And even though he mentioned he doesn't want to play it into his 30s, I do think that maybe finishing off a trilogy in his 30s, like if this is actually what Sony's plan is a trilogy of Tom Holland movies, I do think him finishing off the movies would be kind of the exception. But, if we do end up having that, I do think it will be his last run as Spider-Man for sure.
Yeah, I think if you can definitely make a compelling storyline in case to Tom as to the story you want to go ahead and tell. I mean, who knows? Like we mentioned the idea, maybe that Across the Spider-Verse in, part 2, maybe that does bring somebody like a Miles Morales into live action form. And it does allow for Tom Holland to kind of usher him in, take him in as his, his apprentice, if you will, Tom being the mentor and help building him up to maybe his own certainly set of films. Because to me, it would just feel odd to have Tom Holland as Spider-Man in 3 movies, knowing that he's probably young enough and capable enough to continue to do another set of films and then have to feel like, oh, we're rebooting Spider-Man all over again. Like it would feel great to have somebody that we can really count on and depend on to truly be Spider-Man for a few more years and a few more films in that sense. Yeah, I will say this in regards to Amy Pascal's comments. This, kind of jumping off of what Indy had mentioned, the idea of at least putting it out in the world, right? Like even if source is saying, hey, there's no official plans as of yet, the smart thing for Amy Pascal to do is to put it out there, because just the idea of just using this sort of as a test for the audience to see, is there even a hunger for more Tom Holland films, right? Like, are you guys continuing to love this collaboration that Sony and Marvel is continuing to do? I think the idea of throwing it out there and getting fans' expectations high and getting that excitement built, I think then that really does make a very strong case for Marvel and Sony to come back to the table and continue to collaborate, because you can see the audience out there really swarming and really wanting more Tom Holland Spider-Man. So I think this was very, even if there's nothing official, I think this was pretty brilliant on her part to at least put it out in the world and kind of, I guess you can say, call the hand of Marvel and Sony to like, hey, now you guys almost have to do something, because then you're just going to be disappointing everybody if you don't, right? Like Indy said, when you give something to the fans, they hate it when you certainly take it away. And Amy Pascal certainly put it out there. So I also agree with you, Stuart, in the sense that there probably is stuff maybe being worked, whether that's just Amy and Kevin Feige certainly talking with one another. If anything, I'm hoping that this I'm hoping that if anything, that's they have something in mind for this upcoming trilogy. But I definitely do think it's going to happen. Whether or not they had plans for it before, or now they have to have plans for it now that Amy's saying something, I definitely do think that we're definitely going to be seeing another trilogy here from Tom Holland, and I think this is a great decision, man, a great decision, honestly. So I'm really on board to have him back.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of the opposite of what Indy was saying, but one thing I do kind of look forward to about another trilogy with Tom Holland is seeing him not having to kind of lean too much on the MCU side of things. Because if we get another trilogy and it's all produced by Sony, more than likely the only characters we'll be getting within that trilogy will be Sony related characters. And so it'll be kind of cool. Like, not saying that I not trying to say that the Tom Holland movies have leaned too closely into the MCU stuff, but it'll be cool seeing what the Spider-Man movies will look like when they don't have to, though, when they don't have to constantly acknowledge different MCU properties, essentially.
Yeah, and I will be interested. Again, my thing with my thing is, you're building up a Sony universe of Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man in it. I got to think at some point in time there is a moment of collaboration, or Tom Holland facing off against these guys, because then I'm just asking myself, what are we doing these movies for? I mean, and granted, I mean, look, you if you have the characters, you got to utilize them in some way. Sony's clearly making money making villain films, but I just think fans maybe are kind of anticipating at some point in time there be a meetup with some of these characters, especially when it comes to Tom Hardy. I think we're still trying to figure out if Venom's going to be in No Way Home. Is there going to be a fight between these two? When is something like that certainly happening? So there's definitely a lot on the plate that I think Marvel and Sony can certainly do, and I think that the man for the job is certainly Tom Holland. So I'm glad that he continues to be on board, because you're right, Stuart, it doesn't feel like he's tired of playing Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It definitely seems like he's enjoys it, that he understands the responsibility that comes with being in this particular role. But I also understand his mindset of like, hey man, by the time I'm 30, I really want to be moving on to other and bigger and better things, which I can't front him for. But I think he also understands the importance and the money that certainly will come with another Spider-Man trilogy, right? Like that's really hard to kind of turn down when you've made some incredible films already with this collaboration.
Yeah, even if he gets tired of it, I feel like all Sony needs to do is be like, okay, here's an extra 0.
Right? Here's a little bit of a blank check. You write whatever you certainly want. So yeah, so we'll see what happens here. But guys, we definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts. You hear this Amy Pascal mentioning this is not the last Spider-Man film, that Sony and Marvel plan to collaborate for future MCU movies starring Tom Holland as Spider-Man, with a potential another trilogy certainly headed our way. What would you guys like to see in that particular trilogy? Would you like to see Miles Morales introduced? What villains would you certainly like to see kind of step forward for Spider-Man to certainly face? Go ahead and definitely let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And of course, as we wind up getting new information in regards to the development of this future trilogy, we'll definitely go ahead and keep you posted. Datilla says money talks, and Ted DiBiase would say everyone has a price. Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Tom Holland definitely has a price for sure. And a shout out to Dino Real Soul for certainly coming through today as well, ladies and gentlemen. And I think Indy will be back here rather shortly, so don't worry about that. But other than that, guys, I think it's time to move on to the next topic. You ready, Stuart?
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and change course. That's oh, that's no, I don't think that's the right
is
one.
That not the? Oh, my bad.
Oh, oops, nope. Oh, you know what? That's my fault. Let me change the order of this real quick, because I don't know how that got changed on me. Sorry about that, Stuart. Damn, Adam. Not even doing your job right. What is going on here today? All right. So we are going to change course a little bit from the Marvel stuff. We will be getting into some DC stuff for you guys later. Also, oh, you know what, Stuart? You're right. You're right. I wanted to keep all the Marvel stuff together. That's right, man. So you were right,
I was going to say,
I was
wrong.
It
seemed more correct the first time around.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was different from that. Oh, you know how? Because I had the tabs set up differently. I thought I had them in order, but the last one came up all the way at the end. So I apologize. But yes, okay, you did have the correct one. So we will be sticking into the Marvel news for you guys today, as John Bernthal recently came out this past week, sat down with comingsoon.net and talked about the idea of possibly returning as the Punisher. I feel like we're in a really interesting time period right now when we've got shows on Disney Plus with the MCU in a brand new phase, where I think a lot of people are really hoping that some of the Netflix superheroes that we saw, whether that be Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the Punisher, at some particular point in time may in fact return. If you guys have been watching Hawkeye series rather closely, there's been some teases that a potential return for the Kingpin could certainly be there. Does the return of the Kingpin sort of open up the doors for other characters, right? I mean, there's been a ton of rumors already circulating that when it comes to Charlie Cox as Daredevil, possibly being in the upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home film, could Charlie Cox return as Matt Murdock, to certainly say the least. So the potential is definitely there, and the teases and the seeds have certainly been planted in the MCU for something like that to certainly happen. So the idea of John Bernthal returning as the Punisher doesn't seem that far-fetched, and the question does come to the idea of, if the Punisher returns to the MCU, would he be played by John Bernthal? And does John Bernthal want to even play the Punisher, Frank Castle, in the first place? And I thought this was a rather interesting interview here. So let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart. This comes to us from comingsoon.net. John Bernthal would return as the Punisher, but not a watered down version. I hear you, John. No watered down Punisher for us, man. John Bernthal cemented himself as a fan favorite following his role as Frank Castle on Netflix's The Punisher. Bernthal says he would return to the role inside the MCU, but only if it keeps the same level of darkness. It says, speaking with the Hollywood Reporter, Bernthal described the level of emotion and attachment he has to the Punisher, stating that the character had a real deep meaning for him. I mean, that's pretty real and deep, Stuart. He says, it's really in my heart, man. He's really in my bones, Bernthal said. I'm enormously protective of that character. I've said before that there's nothing in this world more important to me than my wife and my kids. And only until you understand that kind of love and what it really means to willingly die for someone, do you understand what it'd be like if someone took them from you? That's a road and a darkness and a rage that really scares me and brings me to places that I've worked the last 20 years to get away from. So I was really grateful, respectful, and weary of the places where that role took me and the world which I had to live in. Bernthal said that he would return to play Castle. He feels like that level of darkness is where the character has to be. It needs to be a level of darkness. I think if there's any let up on that character, you do a disservice to the character, to every iteration of the character, to every comic book that's come before, and to all the unbelievable fans of the character. This character means so much to the people in the military. So like I said before, it's not about whether you do the character, it's about whether you can do it right. And I'm only interested in doing it right. You hear that, Marvel? Get this man to come back as the Punisher. I gotta tell you, Stuart, I got goosebumps listening to this man talk about it a little bit. It is one of those things where, while I don't necessarily have a wife as of yet, soon to be, I do have a child of my own now, and I am really understanding the idea of level of protectiveness that you certainly would have for somebody close to your family. And it may not necessarily even have to be your wife and your kids, right? It could just be your mom, your dad. The idea of you willing to die to go ahead and protect somebody that you care so much about. And I love just how much John Bernthal gets it. The fact that he seemingly has struggled with maybe his own levels of rage in the past. I mean, there is a level of John Bernthal that looks like the homeboy's been detached at some point in time in his life and is getting his shit together. And to be honest with you, he has already done such a fantastic job with the Punisher. I can't imagine anybody else at this point in time right now doing this particular role. Although, the Punisher, I'm sure I don't want to say can be done by anybody, but when you've got an actor who's so incredibly talented, who can get to that dark spot in his mind and really channel that and utilize it with his own personal life and the things that he would certainly be willing to do to go ahead and protect his own family. I love the level of darkness that he's certainly talking about. And if there's anybody that can harness that and harbor those sort of that mentality, John Bernthal certainly is the man. This interview alone showed me that if there is anybody out there that's ready for this role or can do this role justice, it's definitely this guy. And I really would hope that the MCU would be open to the idea of possibly having him back in this particular role. He crushed it in the Netflix series for both seasons. I would absolutely love to see him back. But let me ask you this also, Stuart, and you can jump on board and build to whatever he mentioned in regards to the darkness. But he also mentions the idea, Stuart, of having to do it right, not watering down the character. If the MCU did decide to go ahead and bring back the Punisher, do you think they would water him down, or do you think that there is a level of darkness that the MCU can tap into to really hold on to the trueness of that character that we saw when it comes to the Netflix series?
I think if you're smart about it, you can have your cake and eat it too with the case of this version of the Punisher. I think that we can have this Punisher in MCU movies that are not R-rated and still have him feel very consistent to the to his version of the Punisher that we saw in the Netflix shows. I think the easiest way to introduce him would be Captain America 4 and have him not be a main character. You could have a lot of his past be more implied than directly stated, but still have him work as like an antagonist that, possibly is going to extreme measures to get the same mission that Captain America has, trying to do his job for him. I feel like there's so many ways you could do that in a PG-13 movie, but still make it dark. The one thing I feel like would be a challenge for Marvel, and it's something I think Marvel, I think personally Marvel should try to do if they're interested, is if they wanted to do R-rated MCU movies, I would love for them to actually bring him back as the Punisher in his own standalone Punisher movies and have them be full-on R-rated films. You can probably put maybe a Fox logo on it if you have to, so that way you could kind of make it separate from the MCU, but other than that, I don't really know if you could bring this version of the Punisher into a solo movie and have it be watered down. I think you would have to have an R-rated Punisher film. But if you're using him as a side character, like I said, Captain America 4, I think would be the best way to do it. I do think you could have him be full on the same Punisher we got in his show, but still keep the movie PG-13.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that that's the case. I certainly would love to see his return. I think Indy's back. Are you back, Indy, or give you a couple more minutes? You good? Okay, let me go ahead and bring you in here. I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear John Bernthal's quotes or not in regards to it, but he seemingly wants to go ahead and bring back, if he were to bring back the Punisher, he certainly wants to do it right. He wants to be able to hold on to the darkness of that character. If that's not the case, don't bring him back at all. But it seems as though John Bernthal, when it comes to his character, he really connects with the Punisher and how dark and certainly what it takes to that mindset of having to protect somebody that you clearly love and willing to die for sort of mentality. What do you think about this, hearing this from John Bernthal himself?
I feel like Shadow Nova is in my head. And if you're trying to flip in, Professor X me, stop it. Exactly what it says. They're adapting Moon Knight to the MCU. There's no excuse to not be able to have the Punisher added, because Moon Knight goes some very dark places. And I feel like you can still have a dark character and show somebody as the Punisher without having all of the violence be on screen. I feel like the story can be dark enough in order to tell a real story in the way that John wants it to be told. And I feel like he's a good enough of an actor to portray that without having to drop all the F-bombs and stuff like that. This is where the writers make their dollars. This is where, production assistants make their money. This is where producers make their money. This is where directors make their money, because they have to be able to get the point across and help this actor bring exactly what they want to the character, but in a way that could be portrayed in a world that is built right now. And if you can't do that, then don't do the character. You know what I'm saying? But if you can accomplish that, the character will honestly be that much better for it, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is one of those things. I mean, we do have, like you said, the Moon Knight series coming out. We even have them tackling a Blade character also. So it does definitely seems as though they are at least opening the door for darker characters or edgier characters if they want to go ahead and bring them to the movie forefront or something along the lines of a television series. So yeah, I do think that the opportunity is there, and I do think that you can certainly pull the trigger on it. So I am really hoping that John Bernthal certainly returns. I love your idea, Stuart, of maybe bringing him back as an antagonist for one of the films. I mean, we just talked about the idea of Spider-Man, right? Coming back with a new trilogy of movies. There's a classic Spider-Man cover where the Punisher is literally hunting this man down, trying to kill Spider-Man himself, sort of thing, right? There's a classic Amazing Spider-Man cover of Spider-Man in his scope, sort of thing. So that would be something that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that was the Punisher's first appearance.
Yeah, it was. So you could always jump on board with something like that if they want to reintroduce him into the MCU. There's plenty of opportunities here. For me, it's just one of those things when you have an actor that's so attached and so protective of this character and understands him to the dark depths that he certainly does. It's just hard to imagine anybody else playing this role and not giving him the opportunity to certainly continue along with this character. So keeping my fingers crossed that we do get another John Bernthal, whether that be a Punisher series, a movie, or him popping up somewhere in somebody else's show. I think you can make it work.
Because and let me ask you a question. If we put Blade out today, will Blade still be rated R?
I don't think so. I think I think it can be PG-13. But I think these days you can honestly push the envelope, right? I think Stuart, you mentioned something last week or the previous week about the idea, like maybe you don't even show blood, right? Like maybe when it comes to vampires and you're cutting them down with your sword, maybe they just turn to ash, right? So you can have all the violent fight choreography all you want to, minus the blood. When it comes to the Punisher, I mean, maybe you can see him shooting dudes, but you just don't have the blood splatter or something like that, right? Like, I do think that there are ways you can navigate if you didn't want to do a rated R, that you can navigate to a PG-13 by still allowing it to be dark and gritty. Maybe a couple of curse words here or there without pushing it to a rated R. If the MCU truly wanted to do something along those lines, do you think the Punisher needs to be rated R, though?
I don't
like
know.
there's
If
certain
needs,
characters that need to be.
Yeah, I just think it would work. I don't think it necessarily needs to be. I do think that if you're a good writer, you can write a dark storyline without having to push the envelope. I just think for me personally, I'd be more entertained watching a Punisher movie if it was rated R. Yeah, but that's just me personally. I definitely, again, I don't think it needs to be R rated.
I mean, I was entertained more by Deadpool 2, the PG-13, rather than I was a rated R version. Like the PG-13 version of me was way more entertaining. But I'm when I think of what I want from the Punisher, especially if they're deciding to come with a movie, especially with John Bernthal, I want something between a mix of what Iron Man 3 and the Winter Soldier was. You know what I'm saying? Like some medium of that, because I feel like that's a story that could be told very well. And it to me, it needs to be more action packed darkness than actual, you know what I'm saying? My family died, so I'm going to kill and, you know what I'm saying, track down and do this with everybody. I feel like the character should, especially if we pick up a character that's a couple of years after, you know what I'm saying, the last time we saw him,
he should be a little evolved.
He should be a little bit more evolved than, you know what I'm saying, what he was back then. But I definitely want him in particular playing this character, because Tom Hardy can't play everything.
People want Tom Hardy playing him.
Absolutely right, man. Absolutely right. But I think you made a good point too, Indy, in the sense that look, this is where the writers, producers, directors is where they make their money. So if you want to bring the Punisher to life, and you want John Bernthal back, make it work.
I'm not against John on what he says, though. I actually
Mm-hmm.
appreciate his stance that he's taking for the character.
I agree.
And it's just like this Ghostbusters Aftermath script. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want people to come back and do movies, make sure when these people have the positions that they have, make sure it's worth it for them to come back and do it, because they're not going to come back and just do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree. Let's see.
That said, how would you feel though if we had an R-rated Punisher movie, but then 6 months later we have a movie where it's Deadpool kidnapping him the same way he did with Fred Savage in Deadpool 2, and he basically is just reading him the story of Punisher, but it's now a PG-13 watered down version of the same movie. But basically same exact premise of Deadpool 2, except for instead of Fred Savage, it's the Punisher who's been kidnapped by Deadpool.
Don't even do a Deadpool. Like play off the comics. Let Ghost like when Punisher Ghost Rider kidnapped Thanos, baby Thanos. you can have that'd be the most interesting way ever to introduce a character in the MCU. Have Ghost Rider kidnap Thanos and he's telling him the story of the Punisher.
I love it.
And then telling him about and then there was this movie about your people that I thought was okay, but it got just tell him how bad the Eternals really was.
All right, a couple comments here from some of our viewers in regards to the article. What? No way. John Bernthal was amazing as the Punisher. So sad they canceled the Punisher. And Daredevil Charlie Cox was great as Matt Murdock. I definitely agree with you there. Nathan Moore says Charlie is coming back for sure. So he seems like he's pretty sure that Charlie Cox is certainly returning.
I need y'all to stop putting some respect on Jessica Jones' name. Y'all, all I hear is Charlie Cox. All I hear is
I'm done. I'm over Jessica Jones.
They need to stop disrespecting how good that story in Jessica Jones actually was.
I still say, listen, if you want to bring back Jessica Jones, I'm still open to Heroes for Hire, man. I honestly think that's a home run and a slam dunk if they really want to bring back some of these returning characters.
It would help for Danny Rand, because to me he's just not a very good main character, but he's really good as a side character.
Can I be honest with you? I think if we do see Iron Fist, though, we're not going to see Danny Rand again.
Oh, probably not.
I think aren't they introducing in the comic books Indy an actual Asian Iron Fist this time around?
Yeah, but that defeats the whole purpose of Iron Fist.
I mean, I know, but I'm just saying, I hate it. Times are changing.
I hated that rage about a white man adapting, you know what I'm saying, Asian. Did you not read the comic book?
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I understand it. I understand that back then it was probably out of place to start off with. You know what I'm saying? But the character Danny Rand, you don't see a lot of peaceful Caucasian people in comics. They're normally all about war and destruction, you know what I'm saying, written from negativity. So seeing that him and just him being a calming influence, you know what I'm saying, was just something different. But the whole Dragon Sisters thing, I forget what the original name of it's called. Yeah, I thought they were gonna go somewhere with that, because I got so happy when I saw, you know what I'm saying, that sword glow. They had so much that built from that was finna go to something else. Okay, I got past this to get to this. Now this is cool. And then all of a sudden everything's gone. And you're like, come the fuck.
For the first time in forever, I'm actually excited for Iron Fist. Oh, and now it's canceled.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. I do feel bad for Iron Fist fans there too. Let's see here. B+, he says Punisher, in my opinion, deserved the third season. A lot of these definitely did deserve extra seasons. Marcelino says, honestly, I would love to see a watered down version of the Punisher just to see the fan outrage. But I need he says, I do need a proper Punisher in the MCU. Let's see here. Nathan, again, with the Charles is returning as Daredevil. John returning as the Punisher. I don't know. He doesn't want it to be watered down. Marvel isn't going to go that dark, though.
Marvel kind of has already went that dark in, you know what I'm saying, in places.
Mhm.
To be totally honest with you, the concept of darkness is different. I think they want violence and, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying, blood and gore, because the Eternals was dark. The
Yeah.
Eternals went to a dark place. It's just that it was just the way it was written, how the story was told. You could tell dark stories without all the, you know what I'm saying, the gore and violence.
And John
It
Walker
was
smashed somebody's head in with the Captain America shield, and you saw the blood splatter on it too. So like they definitely don't hold back. They definitely can get dark, because I mean that was a chilling scene for me when I watched it. I mean, just the idea of seeing the Captain America shield covered in blood after just the rage that John Walker certainly went through. So I think you're right. I mean, if you're getting paid these big bucks, there is a way to write and direct around these particular scenes to make it a lot darker, even though if it's just PG-13. But yeah, Nathan does say violence is what I mean, is what he's referring to in
Yeah.
that sense.
I mean,
Marshall,
even Black Widow, you had like kind of the opening of it, which, you know, incredibly dark because you're involving literal child soldiers. So it's like, you know, what they'll do is they'll show a lot of dark stuff happening. They just won't be graphic about it.
yeah, and I think that's what Nathan is getting at, is
Yeah.
that graphic violence sort of concept. And that's why I was saying, like, we probably, if anything, could see the Punisher shooting people, just maybe not the blood splatter and things like that all over the place. Now, whether that means not seeing that lets you enjoy the character less, to each their own, I guess. But I do think that there's a way to certainly have the Punisher in the MCU. But we'll see, guys. We'll definitely keep you up to date as we get more information in regards to this. But let's keep our fingers crossed that some of these Netflix characters are returning.
They want AEW. They don't want WWE.
Oh gosh, going through fire tables, right? Yeah, not announcer tables, but tables on fire. All right, guys. With that out of the way, we will wrap up all of our Marvel talk for you guys. We do have a couple of DC topics certainly coming up here for you guys shortly. I honestly forgot the order that we're presenting these in at this point in time, Stuart. So whatever you bring up next, I'll go ahead and follow your lead. But I think the next one is Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, hey, what's up, Indy? Good to see you. The next up is, in fact, Star Wars. Look, we talked heavily about this the previous week. We had a ton of Star Wars news. One of our more anticipated series that's certainly coming when it comes to Star Wars on television or Disney Plus is the Ahsoka series. We wind up getting information last week as to who was going to be cast as Sabine Wren to join Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. And this week we have another casting announcement. This one, though, guys, to be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with her past work or where I might have seen her before or not, but I definitely wanted to go ahead and keep you guys updated in regards to the casting that was certainly happening for this particular series. Stuart, if you can maybe bring up her IMDb, I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with her, but let's go ahead and dive into this, because this comes to us from Deadline.com, as it seems as though they're ramping up to go ahead and start production here probably soon on this series, now that we're getting more and more casting announcements. But this comes for us from Deadline.com. Ivanna Sakhno joins Disney Plus series for Star Wars Ahsoka. It says exclusive. Ivanna Sakhno from Pacific Rim Uprising has been cast opposite Rosario Dawson and Natasha Bordizzo in the limited series, a spinoff from the streamer hit series The Mandalorian. It says in the limited series, Dawson stars as Ahsoka Tano after making the Star Wars The Clone series and Rebel characters live action debut in The Mandalorian, while Bordizzo is taking on the character of Sabine Wren from from Star Wars Rebels animated series. I hear Sakhno will play a newly created character. Representatives from Lucasfilm and Sakhno had no comment at this particular point in time, though. But if you are interested in Sakhno's career, it says she is Ukraine-born. She's known for her roles in Pacific Rim Uprising and The Spy Who Dumped Me, as well as an arc on the Hulu series High Fidelity. So I'm trying to remember who she was in Pacific Uprising. I'm assuming she was probably one of the pilots. Something tells me that maybe she was one of the pilots of one of the mechs. I could be wrong here. But let me throw this over to you first, Stuart. Look, I don't know who she's going to play. Looking at her, I'm kind of curious as to see who could she possibly fit in the Star Wars world at this point in time. What do you think in regards to just this casting announcement in general?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those things where I got nothing too much to say.
I get you.
Because I'm looking at her IMDb. There's not a single thing on here that I've seen from her. But yeah, I'm assuming probably an original character in the show is what she's going to be playing. So, yeah, hopefully it's hopefully it's a cool, memorable new character. But well, I guess we'll have to wait and see for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see who she's gonna be. I'm kind of really intrigued at the idea that it's gonna be a brand new character. I mean, leave it up to Dave Filoni to go ahead and hit us with something new. I want to say that there are rumors around right now that she could be playing like a female version of the alien race, the Chiss, I believe, which is Admiral Thrawn's alien race. So she could be, what was it, black hair, blue skin, blonde hair, blue skin, for all we know. I would be open for that too. I mean, I do believe, if anything, in the Ahsoka series, we probably will get a live action Admiral Thrawn, or at least I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do get the opportunity to see other alien races similar to him kind of pop up in here. So we'll see. Again, that's just simply a rumor. But we'll see what happens. Indy, I don't know if you've ever seen Ivanna Sakhno in anything particular.
Pacific Rim Uprising.
Do you remember her in her role at all?
I don't remember that movie at all and don't want to.
I saw it once, and I never went back to go ahead and check it out again after that. But it feels like that might be one of the bigger things.
Ruined an entire franchise.
But any thoughts in regards to this, even if it's not her casting, maybe your levels of excitement for the Ahsoka series?
I'm excited for this series. It don't matter who they cast. They can cast Rosie O'Donnell right now. My excitement for this series is still going to stay. For the simple fact that I think they got the casting of Ahsoka right to start off with, and everything that's going to surround that, I think they're going to be, you know what I'm saying, pretty good. I heard that they're going to cast Ezra, you know what I'm saying? And
I was hearing that it might be the guy from that played Aladdin, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that, or I'm with the kid who plays in Cobra Kai, the whatever his name is.
Oh, Jolo?
Yeah, I'm cool with him
too
if he do it too. But the Aladdin guy is actually pretty, because he was one of the most decent things about that Aladdin movie was him. Like, he was really good in that role. So I'm all for it. Whoever she's gonna play, she might play a Kree. I don't know. That's what I call Thrawn's race is Kree.
I love
it. so it's just interesting to me, the scope of what this is actually going, you know what I'm saying, to be. Because my thing is, I don't know how Stuart feels about this. I want Grey Jedi to be canon so bad. And I feel like Ahsoka would be one of the perfect people to just become a Grey Jedi because of where her stance is on, you know what I'm saying, on Jedi right now to start off with, and seeing what her master, you know what I'm saying, came out to be. If they could make that canon, this would be the saving grace to Star Wars for me, because I'm so over Star Wars right now, and this could save it, period. Because I don't need, everybody's talking about The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I don't consider that Star Wars. I consider that spaghetti western space stuff. Like, that's just, to me, I don't even try to look at it as Star Wars, so I won't be disappointed by it. But if the track record that they have right now, what they're doing is kind of like how you feel about Disney television shows. They just keep getting better, and I'm just looking forward to that. And Marcelino says literally everybody wants Grey Jedi to be canon.
Yeah, and I will say this: you should look at The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett as Star Wars, because it's the best Star Wars we've gotten in quite some time.
That's Boba Fett and Mandalorian.
That's Star Wars, man.
Nah. I look at Star Wars like all that blah lightsaber
stuff,
like lightsaber Luke stuff.
I guess so.
So
this to me is something different.
You don't there's no lightsabers, it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, that's his mentality.
Good to know.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, like, looking at the series as a whole, like, I am definitely also really excited for this. So Ahsoka's a great character, and I loved her introduction in The Mandalorian, so I can't wait to see how she holds her own TV show.
Yeah, man, she was great in The Mandalorian. Honestly, I'm really hyped. That was a great episode, especially of her and Grogu and things like that. So I'm really eager to see what Dave Filoni is going to do with this character. It's a beloved character of his, so I think he's going to put his best foot forward for sure when it comes to it. Speaking of what was her name, Ivanna. B plus says she looks like Elizabeth Olsen and Wallace Day. I can see the Wallace Day a little bit in there for sure. Yeah, and then the Marcelino says, yeah, literally everybody wants a gray Jedi to certainly be canon. And one of the things that I've kind of learned, or I've been seeing, especially if I've been reading the High Republic books, is that while they're not necessarily referring to them as sort of gray Jedis, they are kind of referring to them as wanderers, right? Like there are Jedi that are out there that maybe don't necessarily see eye to eye with the Jedi Council, or they kind of want to be able to go out on their own to maybe have their own interpretation of the Force, and grow that way a little bit. Whereas they still consider themselves, I guess they still consider themselves Jedi, but they are very much a little bit looser in the sense that they're kind of a little bit more rogue. So they definitely have a different interpretation of how they look at things. And so the fact that they are introducing characters like that in the High Republic, I don't want to say that makes Ahsoka not feel as not original, but like she's not that she's the only person that has ever done that before when it comes to the Jedi, of denouncing them, kind of going off on her own and being just her own thing, more like a servant to the Force, if anything. I feel like that wanderer sort of title is kind of what I'm kind of putting more on Ahsoka at this point in time, than more gray Jedi. But I get what people are saying in the sense of that they want gray Jedi. I think this is what Star Wars is kind of getting at without calling them gray Jedis. But I like the idea. I like the concept of what she certainly represents.
Honestly, I like the word wanderer more than gray Jedi. So if they want to just make Wanderer the new gray Jedi, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it's just about titles kind of thing,
No, I like gray because it sounds like dragon, or
Okay.
gray, or it sounds like gray worm, or gray just sounds cool.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, gray Jedi it is then. Gray Jedi.
It's just something about GREY, gray. Like you don't run up on somebody and fight them over your girl when their name is Gray. It don't matter what they look like. If he goes, my name's Gray, you kind of just back down.
Like he's been through some shit. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, look, we want to know your thoughts. The casting for Ahsoka continues. I feel like this means that they're pretty much full on ahead. Like I almost feel like if there isn't anything else on the docket that's currently filming, Ahsoka probably is going to be the next thing in line that's going to be in front of the cameras before we know it. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't heard anything that filming has begun, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear it happening relatively soon. But we'll definitely go ahead and keep you posted.
I need something for after Hawkeye. Like, I need something for after Hawkeye. I don't want
Book of Boba.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, that's dropping like the 29th or something like that, like the last day of December. So yeah, they'll definitely hit you with something. All right, guys, and with that out of the way, what is the next story that I have? You know what, Stuart? I'm calling it
Audible.
I'm gonna audible here. I'm moving one story up underneath that Star Wars because I want to keep DC together. So next up, guys, listen, we've been getting a ton of. I did it again. Hey, Stuart, what's up? We've been getting a ton of video game characters that have been coming to life on the big screen. We've seen Sonic actually handle itself pretty well. We've got Uncharted that's supposed to be dropping here this upcoming January. We also have Chris Pratt that's going to be voicing Super Mario in a Super Mario animated film. So video game characters are certainly being brought to life in some capacity. And I got to say, this next article that we get into, there's a question that I have. And the question I have is, why is this taking so long? It's about time that this certainly might be happening, as it seems as though we might be getting ourselves a live action version of Mega Man. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, your Nintendo and Super Nintendo childhood coming to life in some sort of way. So let's go ahead and dive into this article because this is coming to us from comingsoon.net, letting us know that a live action Mega Man movie reportedly headed to Netflix. What's going on here? I had not really heard too much about this before, but definitely worth tackling. Indy doesn't sound too thrilled about this concept right now, but let's dive in. It says a live action Mega Man film is in the works and will be headed to Netflix, according to a recent update on production company Supermarsh's website. It says the news was spotted on a recent updated section on their writing and directing team, Henry Jost and Ariel Schumann, both of who founded the company. Henry Rell and their in-house producer maintain an active developmental slate. Features in the works include an adaptation of Capcom's Mega Man for Shonen Entertainment and Netflix, which they wrote and are directing, is what the post actually reads. It does say that news on the Mega Man film has been circulating for some time. In 2017, Jost and Schulman were brought on to write and direct the film for Fox, but after the acquisition of the company in 2019, the project was left up in the air, with Capcom noting it was still in development. However, after production company Shonen Entertainment signed a first look deal with Netflix in 2020, and following Disney placing the film in turnaround, a term which saw Disney essentially sell the rights away, Netflix acquired the rights for the film. So it says, as of right now, the film looks to be under Jost and Schulman's supervision, with Mattson Tomlin from the Batman set to write the script, and Masai Oka attached as one of the lead producers of the film. So this feels very much like a sense of development for this film was actually happening. The fact that Jost and Schulman are still attached to this after it was brought up back in 2017 from Fox, clearly the acquisition wind up putting everything in limbo. But it seems very much like the people that were attached to this are still attached, and Netflix has just certainly picked up the rights to it. So now that I've actually read this article fully, I do think that this is definitely happening, and I cannot wait for this to happen. I do think that Mega Man's a pretty cool character. I would be interested to see how you adapt Mega Man into live action. But as somebody who grew up with a Nintendo back in the day, because I'm that damn old, I loved me my fair share of Mega Man video games. Once we started getting into like Super Nintendo and you start introducing Mega Man X and all that stuff, I kind of eventually kind of fell off. I'm very much more classic Mega Man guy myself. But this gets me super excited. I'm really pumped to see what they have here. And if they're keeping the same people on board, the fact that they've got Mattson Tomlin attached to go ahead and write the script for this also, I think we've got some potentially good things certainly happening here. But let me go ahead and throw this over to you first, Indy, because you seem up in an uproar over there. And I definitely want to go ahead and get your pick your brain in regards to why you're feeling the way you're feeling about a potential live action Mega Man movie to Netflix.
First, I'm upset at you, sir.
Why?
Because you fell off at the best time for the series.
I played it, but I grew up a little bit, guys. Sue me.
Says the person reviewing Power Rangers Weekly.
I reverted, okay? I reverted going to my 40s. Maybe I'm going through a midlife crisis right now. Leave me alone.
No. This scares me to death. Because Mega Man is to my childhood with what Mario is to Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of people, Mega Man is the thing that got me into playing Nintendo and stuff like that. I was never in the Mario stuff was too cut and paste for me, right? This could turn out to be really good, or it could turn out to be really bad. And what I say about that is because although I trust Netflix with making movies, I don't know if I trust Netflix with something like this, because I gave Netflix my heart with Cowboy Bebop, and although they didn't smash my heart into pieces, they kind of put it in the dishwasher and gave it back and was like, we think we got it right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm worried about this because I'm worried about what story they're going to be adapting. You know what I'm saying? How they're going to approach it. It's too many different things to Mega Man. And I could see them totally flubbing this up, not understanding that each game happened in like its own separate, you know what I'm saying, world and timeline, and trying to mesh everything together. And then the next thing we know, we end up with like the Game Boy games with the Mega Man Network crap. We end up with something like that. I'm very worried. If they get this right, all praises to Netflix. If you want to raise your prices to $25 a month and you get this right, I'll rock with you. If you get this wrong, I may never come back to Netflix again because you would have destroyed my childhood completely, just like you did with that garbage Transformers friggin' stuff that you tried to do just a couple of months ago.
The War on Cybertron, the trilogy?
Horrible. Horrible. But some things they do get right. It depends on who they're going to put in charge of this. If you're doing live action, it depends on who you cast. You have to do everything very carefully. And whoever they cast is going to have to be new, because I don't see some young 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid that's going to be able to fit into the friggin' suit and play it. All the friggin' Stranger Things kids are grown now. They can't fit in the suit. So I have absolutely no idea what they're going to do. But this is the end for me and Netflix if they get this wrong. I don't care how good He-Man was. They could thank Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin for that. But it's not Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin doing this.
Well, I will say this. I do love, let me give shout out to my boy Jonathan for certainly coming through. He introduces a cool concept for me, just because of the fact that I was a huge fan of this very underrated movie in the sense of Speed Racer. But he does say, Jonathan says it would need to be over the top, like Speed Racer, in the sense of maybe a stylized version to your live action sort of concept. What do you think about that, Stuart? And then also just your thoughts also on the idea of potentially live action Mega Man coming to Netflix. Are you worried and concerned as much as Indy certainly is?
I'm not worried or concerned at all, but that's also because like my attachment for Mega Man really just goes to Mega Man 1, like Mega Man 1 through 3, and then the first Mega Man X game, which even that game, I'm going to be totally honest, I never got like super far in. So for me, Mega Man has always been like a blank canvas, and the story has always just been whatever I've been kind of coming up with in my head when playing the original 3 games. So for me, I'm not worried at all, and I like the idea of it being stylized in a Speed Racer type of way, because I absolutely loved that movie too. I think it's like one of my favorite movies to watch as an editor.
It's a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing the fun transitions they do, the fun like visual effects. If they bring something like that to a character like Mega Man, I'm definitely all for it. I think my other biggest question would be about, with this live action series is what source material would it be borrowing from? Is it going to be like, or do they see Mega Man the same way I did, which is they look at the cover of Mega Man, the original 6 Mega Man games, how it wasn't even like a child in a robot suit. It was like a full grown, really buff adult, like in the Mega Man suit. Is that what it's going to look like in this live action version? Or are they going to go with more how kind of more modern adaptations of Mega Man look, where he seemingly seems to be like a child in kind of a robot suit? So I think that's kind of my biggest question about this upcoming live action movie, is kind of like the style that they're going to go for. But yeah, I'm all for the Speed Racer idea.
Yeah, I'm actually really all for the Speed Racer idea too. That is a movie for me that, like I said, is certainly a guilty pleasure. But the way that they make the action look, it's so dynamic and so fierce at times that I think something like that mixed in with the live action of what you could do with the Mega Man, I think would actually really work relatively well in regards to just making it pop on screen and really at least attaching that action that we've seen from either the video games or maybe even past animated series and things like that of a Mega Man. So I would be completely open to it. Yeah, Jonathan says I've always seen Mega Man as kind of an old Astro Boy, which I definitely can see also. So I get your concern, Indy. I definitely do. I mean, especially when it comes to video game adaptations of anything, it is one of those things where it is, it's always certainly understandable to definitely be wary. But I also do think one. it is Netflix, and granted, sometimes Netflix's movies can be kind of hit or miss. I feel like their series tend to be a little bit better than their actual movies themselves. The writer itself in Mattson Tomlin, I do have some confidence in being able to bring somebody like a Mega Man to life. I would be interested to see who the director is. So let me see who the cast is, who you start surrounding him with when it comes to the actual crew that's putting it together. Might give me a little bit more security going into this film. But I do think if you can hit the type of dynamic that you need, you might have something special here. But I get your worry, Indy. I definitely understand that.
No, I am very worried. And yet, yes, I could. Netflix has a lot of content for some people. It doesn't have a lot of content for me. It's maybe about 4 or 5 things that I watch on Netflix, and I can get Cobra Kai on YouTube. I just pay for it. I buy the series anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because I like the support, so I just buy it. I don't know, man. This could be very, very bad. I'm trying, like, the whole time you guys were talking, I was trying to picture the Speed Racer stuff with it, and then I just keep seeing Mega Man driving a car. Like, I can't or like him on type of Rush just going zoom, zoom, zoom. Like, I just can't, you know what I'm saying, get it and going right in my head. And I can't think of how I would want it, you know what I'm saying, to look
on screen. Yeah.
It's a very hard character to do, you know what I'm saying, on screen and make him believable.
Especially, you know, I think, especially if you just go the route of just straight live action, that feels like that could be pretty difficult to do. But
the closest they ever got to a Mega Man was RoboCop on screen, as far and like making it kind of believable. Even when you go back and you watch RoboCop, it holds up horribly. So it's I can't even pick a character who has a power set or something like that we've seen on screen that's even similar. Do you know how hard it's going to be to do?
Inspector Gadget.
Right? You know how hard it's going to be to do his little his buster blast like repeatedly on screen.
You know, I will say this. You know, I think another good movie. I think Speed Racer is a great way to a great comparison. But I also would say, what's that? Damn it! What's that movie that just came out? The James Cameron one of the girl that was a cyborg. Oh my God, this is gonna kill me.
I've seen one James Cameron movie in my life. Well, half of one.
Starts with an A. It's not Akita, right? What is it?
Alita
Battle Angel. Alita Battle Angel. Great.
Okay, so I've seen a whole. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, James Cameron. Well, I don't think he was the actual. I think it was him and Robert Rodriguez. I think they came up with it. But Alita Battle Angel, in that sense of you are creating a cyborg sort of thing, right? Mentality. She's able to switch out things if she wants to. I think you can probably do really great special effects in that line and still be able to pick up the dynamics of what a Mega Man can do in regards to his movements, the battle sequences and stuff. So I do think that there's a way you can pull it off. I like the speed, the Speed Racer comparison, but I also would compare it to Alita Battle Angel. I think you can get away with it.
I like the Alita more.
Because that feels more live action to me.
Yeah.
They're both live action, but yeah.
And with that, I like the Alita more because I think it fits the aesthetic of Mega Man better. But with that, I feel like Netflix has less of a chance to get it right.
I get you.
If you guys are disappointed with the Netflix adaptation, hang on, here we go. I just sent a link for a movie that was basically an adaptation of the game back in 2008, made for like I guess $20. I don't know. It's a very cheap looking movie, but but at the same time, it's kind of impressive because it's a full length movie and just someone went through the effort of actually making a full length Mega Man movie. So it's, you got to give them credit for something. But the link I sent was just the trailer, so you can get an idea of what it looks like. But it was I remember liking it back when it came out.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely check it out because I am interested to see how you bring Mega Man to life for sure.
But but like I said, whatever Netflix put out might look better than Legend of the White Dragon. So
But yeah, like I said, this was made for like I'm guessing $20. So yeah,
We'll keep
pretty
that in
cheap
mind.
looking.
We'll definitely keep that in mind. All right, guys. But yeah, we want to know your thoughts. Netflix potentially going ahead and pulling the trigger on a live action Mega Man movie. What are your thoughts? Are you concerned? Are you hopeful for this film? Go ahead and certainly let us know your relationship with Mega Man and how you feel about this particular article. And then with that, guys, we will wrap up the other side of things and dive into some DC talk, ladies and gentlemen. As The Flash season 8 has officially kicked off. Hey, Stuart, good to see you again here, man. I keep fucking this up today. Good to see everybody here again with me back on the screen. But The Flash season 8 is certainly back. We've gotten 3 episodes deep into The Flash season 8 with the Armageddon certainly happening. Stuart told me I needed to catch up to the season, so I literally watched 3 hours of The Flash yesterday, putting together this show to go ahead and actually be on top of things.
You should have made him watch every episode he missed plus the Armageddon episode.
Nah, I'm good. I will say, watching The Flash, I definitely had some questions. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Who are some of these characters? What's happening with Candace Patton and her Central City Citizens Media? All this stuff just feels really brand new to me, but it was actually great to just be able to jump back into The Flash a little bit and actually walk. Hey, Stuart, good to see you again. And actually walk away enjoying the 3 episodes that I certainly watched. Well, B+, he says, no spoilers, please. You might want to come back then. Yeah, you might want to come back in like 10, 15 minutes then, because it would be spoiler heavy in here. But in the news this week, speaking of The Flash season 8, we have a returning actor possibly coming back to his role, which I was not expecting this to happen. But actually, after watching the first 3 episodes,
Stephen Amell?
No, it's like
You're
Stephen
close.
Amell, but like the B version of him. Robbie Amell, his brother, is that his cousin, right? It's his cousin? His cousin is coming back to The Flash. Robbie Amell is set to go ahead and return for the season 8 for The Flash here. It says, get ready for another blast from the past. 2 Firestorm actors, Vincent Garber and Franz Drame, recently returned to the Arrowverse for Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode. And now the 3rd and final season is set. The first and final one is set to appear on The Flash next year. Entertainment Weekly has exclusively learned that Robbie Amell, who portrayed Ronnie Raymond, one half of the original Firestorm, is returning to the CW speedy superhero drama for 2 episodes. His homecoming will begin in season 8's 11th episode, though the circumstances of Amell's guest spots are under wraps and locked away in the time vault. For those of you who don't know, he was introduced in season 1. Ronnie worked at Star Labs alongside his fiancee, Caitlin Snow, and disappeared the night of the particle accelerator explosion. Everyone thought he was dead until the team discovered the accident fused him with Martin Stein, thus creating the superhero Firestorm. Unfortunately, Caitlin and Ronnie's reunion and marriage didn't last long because he died saving Central City from a giant wormhole in the finale. And it says, although Amell's return is a ways off, The Flash is going on hiatus until March after the 5-part Armageddon wraps up in mid-December. So we get 5 episodes and it's not coming back until March. The series has already started planting the seeds for his appearance, as she mentioned her deceased husband in season 8's premiere, which she told Barry she was finally ready to start dating again. So yeah, Robbie Amell is set to go ahead and return. And I got to say, I'm actually pretty excited for this. I think after seeing Robbie in the Code 8 movie, I know he's got a sequel certainly coming through with his cousin once again. I want to see how he fits into this family environment again of the Flash. With Caitlin talking about it over the past couple of episodes of her past with Ronnie, the things that it took for her to kind of be able to get over him and eventually kind of start moving on sort of concept. Nathan says, has Caitlin dated anyone since then? I don't believe so. Am I wrong, guys? Or has she dated anybody or tried to give anybody a shot?
There have definitely been love interests for her, but she's never kind of made an official date out of any of them, because I remember there was something between her and uh not like the actual Jay Garrett, Hunter Zolomon. That's what
Hunter
it was, when
Oh,
Sullivan,
he was
that's right.
pretending to
When
be
he's
Jay
pretending to
Garrett.
Jay
be.
Garrett.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. But I'm excited for this. I really am. I want to see what role he certainly plays in here. I love the fact that they are at least planting the seed so far this season, because I did find it interesting, because I read this article first and then I jumped back into the Flash season 8, and I'm like, damn, there's a lot of Ronnie references in here that I was not expecting this season. So it kind of really all lines up that he's going to be back for a two-parter. I hope that they actually leave Robbie in here. I'm hoping he decides to certainly go ahead and stick around. I don't know really what else is on Robbie Amell's docket, or if he's busy with other projects that he certainly has going on. But I would love to see him maybe pop back up in here, maybe not as a regular, but certainly as a supporting character from time to time. While he's not my favorite Firestorm, the fact that he was the first, has some sort of nostalgia and just warm feeling in my heart for Robbie Amell's Ronnie Raymond. But we'll see how it turns out. But I'm excited that he's actually going to be returning for this season. But let me pass this over to you first, Indy. What are your thoughts in regards to the idea that he's going to be making a comeback?
Well, first, I'm kind of upset with you for leaving out his cinematic perfection in the Duff. You talked about Code A, but you left out the Duff. So
for good reason. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I watch everything that has the name Amell attached to it now. I can't help it.
Did he pop up in heels?
No, but season 2 has been hinting, like they hinted towards he might be popping up in season 2.
Okay.
And if that's the case, I will mark the F out if it comes to that. I'm an Amell enthusiast. Let's put it that way. This is now, if you think wrestling phrase again, just come on. If you think AEW has long form storytelling, when you know what I'm saying, it takes 3 years for one person to go from being a contender to actually winning the championship. This is the longest storytelling of my life for Caitlyn to be able to be with her husband. It has taken 8 years since season 1 for her to be able to find a true love interest. Now, what what people aren't looking at is, I don't know how long Danielle Panabaker is going to keep doing this show. And with what happened in season 3 with the destruction of Star Labs, I think this is starting to lead to some individuals who have been on the show longer into leading to their exit. And what better ride off in the sun for her to be able to leave with her husband? You know what I'm saying? Like, come in, oh, this is my husband, this is right. And she talks about Ronnie every season, every friggin' season. So you didn't think about anything like this, or her mentioning him again, because that is the whole basis of who her character is, and how she garnered her strength is through the loss of him. And for him to come back and then take her away, because I cannot deal with Caitlyn Snow going through another tragedy of her seeing her husband and then him being ripped away from her again, and her having to deal with that again. It just doesn't feel right. But also, with what I at first thought it was going to have something to do with Armageddon and maybe an evil version of Ronnie. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what it's going to be. I'm just curious to see what this has to do for Caitlyn Snow as far as the storyline is going to go, because I really feel I feel like for a while it's been leading up to her end with her getting ready to leave.
Yeah, I will agree. I do hope that this is lending to a very happy ending for Danielle Panabaker's run as Caitlyn. I think it would just be really poetic to see her and Ronnie actually conclude her arc, if you will, together once again. So we'll see what happens there. But what about you, Stuart? You hear Robbie Amell certainly returning as Ronnie. What's your level of excitement, and how do you think he plays into this season of The Flash? This season feels very much like, hey, we're wrapping up this show, guys. I don't know why I get that feeling already, but what do you think about what this news means?
I think because of some set photos and the fact that we also had news a little bit earlier that Rick Cosnet, I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name, but the guy that played Eddie Thawne, we got news that he's also going to be returning this season. I don't think we're going to be seeing him in present time. I think we're going to be getting him either through more time travel, possibly from Impulse and shoot, what was Nora's superhero name again? XS, that's right. Yeah. So I think we're going to be maybe getting some more time travel through those two characters, just based on some set photos that I've seen. But I don't think we're going to be seeing him actually coming back to life like in present day.
I could definitely see what you're saying on that too. And for God's sakes, people, if you can bring back the 4400, can we just restart the Tomorrow People and just bring Robbie Amell back?
Yeah, I think oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to say on top of that. Probably wasn't important
then. Nathan does ask, and he did Upload get canceled? Was that a show he was in?
Yeah, Upload I think only ran a couple of episodes. I don't know if it's something that was like back in 2020. I think they had like 14 episodes, and then like it never came back.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's something where it's going to come back later or not. I don't know. And yes, I did watch the Scooby-Doo movies he was in. That was Curse of the Lake Monster and The Whole World Loves You.
Oh my God,
the Whole World Loves You was a video short.
Oh my God, you remember the titles.
I told you I'm an Amell enthusiast.
You really are. Do you have a shrine on the other side of your camera we can't see, or a cardboard cutout?
Yes, I do, with the Entertainment Weekly, the last Stephen Amell Entertainment Weekly he did for the Arrow, and I have it autographed. That's on the other side of the room. I tried to get the Green Arrow cardboard cutout from the DC from the Injustice 2 video game and get him to sign that. But my GameStop connects didn't come through. So
okay, all right. Yeah, he loves him some Amells. Okay, now Stuart, you had me watch these 3 episodes.
Yes.
Is there a particular reason? You said you saw something in the previous episode you had to talk about?
Well, yeah, it was just the entire scene between Flash and Black Lightning. I wanted to know your thoughts on that because one thing I thought was so cool is there was a scene that was described by the writer of Black Lightning when he was talking about what he wanted to do with bringing Flash into an episode. And I thought it was cool that we got to see almost that exact same scene that he described, but it's like taking place within the Flash Armageddon episode. So I was just kind of wanting to get your thoughts on just that whole thing. Same with you, Indy, because like I don't think you haven't uploaded your review for episode 3 yet, have you?
COVID.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. I was
but no,
yeah, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that though. That's why I was like, hey Adam, you gotta watch the first 3 episodes.
Dude, I was so jacked to see Cress Williams come back as Jefferson, as Black Lightning. I was so pumped to see him. I'm so glad that they handled him correctly in here. I loved it, man. I loved it. I'm hoping that we get to see him again, maybe in the next episode a little bit. Considering the fact that they kind of ended him off hanging out with Iris and them and things like that in the hall. But I loved it. I thought, listen, it's one of those things where if you don't got Joe West around to give you some really heartfelt advice for you, just some life advice for you to certainly take away, if you need somebody else that's going to talk in your ear and give you the motivation that you need to be the hero that you need, is Jefferson Pierce. I mean, this guy's a principal at a high school. Just seeing all the impact that he's had on all those kids. I love just his phrase that he continues to rock with, you know, his the phrase that he gives to all his kids in school and things like that, like, whose life is this? Mine. What am I gonna do with it? Live it to the fullest. Like, that shit gave me goosebumps watching it yesterday. Like, I'm so glad that we got somebody like Barry Allen to not only recite it but also understand what it truly means. But when you need somebody to pick up Barry Allen, you need somebody that's going to dish out some really great advice. Cress Williams as Jefferson is certainly the man for the job. But I loved it, man. I thought he handled it pretty well.
This is where I need a better villain who knows the heroes, because when you look at Cress Williams, you see all the good things that's coming, you know what I'm saying, from Black Lightning, from Jefferson, you know, I would look like, and what about your kids, sir? Like, all this like, you did all this stuff, all these, like, what about your kids? Like, it's so much stuff where you could pick away from his armor, you know, like the little chinks in his armor for what's going on. That's why I feel like that's one thing I loved about the Black Lightning villains in themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew the exact chinks in his armor and they could pick away. Like, they would piss him completely off and get all up under his skin. That's why his villains, I feel like, were the best villains in the Arrow Flash verse, the CW verse, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Hands down. But that scene was special. The thing that I didn't like about this was this penultimate hero that we have buried to the level he is now, and then within 5 seconds he does the dumbest things in the world again and forgets everything he had learned. I'm like, it's just rinse, wash, and repeat with Barry. I'm so over this version of Barry Allen the Flash. Not how Grant Gustin is playing. Grant Gustin is playing this particular character perfectly, but I think we're supposed to be annoyed with what the mistakes that the Flash is making over and over again. And then people just let him run to the future. Have you saw what happens when he time travels? Like this.
At this point, though, when you realize that whoever is making these changes has to be time traveling, it kind of makes sense. At this point, you got no other choice. You kind of got to go with your last option, even though it's a bit dangerous. And I think with Barry making, because I will say, yeah, trying to get his powers taken away immediately without thinking things through was probably not the smartest thing. And then same within the previous episode, going after a psychic without even wearing a tinfoil hat over your head.
Yeah,
also probably not a good idea. But I think it all just comes down to that he's just very emotionally vulnerable at this point now. After being
Cisco.
told yeah, exactly. I think that's like the thing is that he needs the right people to give him the support that he needs. And I think only Jefferson was the one who knew what kind of support he needed. Whereas like the friends are, it's almost like his friends kind of fear him as much as they want to help him because they want to help him. But they also know that if he wanted to, if the Flash, were to have one more crazy outburst, even if it's not his fault, it could be very fatal. They could end up like the girl from The Boys in the first episode.
Yeah, well, what's going on with them, that they're so proud to be a part of the team that they don't want to lose their position. Where it's like his old team be like, I don't care, you're nothing without me. You know what I'm saying? Like they had that entitlement from everything they were doing, and you want that. Cisco wasn't letting him run out without any protection. Like, nah, bro, hold on, psychic, I got something for that. You know what I'm saying? Put this on, you're good. And he just ran out there. He's so overconfident in his abilities because what he's been able to accomplish lately, that he just feels like he could run out and do anything. And that's where, like you said, he doesn't have the father figure there, which is the perfect thing when me and you, Stuart, were talking about, is why the Reverse Flash is one of the smartest villains ever, because he knows exactly what to take away in order to beat the Flash. If you watch last season, you saw what happened when he tried to go against the Flash one-on-one. The Flash is on a totally different level than what he is now, to the point where it looked like the Reverse Flash was moving in slow motion.
Yeah.
When he was fighting him. So he knows he can't beat him head to head. So what he has to do, depower him, drive him crazy. And Barry walked right into that. Because if he has the exact same power level he had when he fought the Reverse Flash the first time, I'm done watching this show. I am not picking this back up in March because he should be depowered as ever, because he only had one more shot to go from Black Lightning before he was totally disconnected from the Speed Force. Now he should be able to get back up to that level, but you had to depower him for this was coming up this season in order to make it interesting, because you overpowered him too much last season. So it made sense to me.
I also want to go back to just the Black Lightning thing real quick. I did really enjoy too just the moment that him and Barry wind up having when I don't know, he brought a lot of great memories back from the Black Lightning series. Like, I love his comparison with Bill Henderson, his detective friend, comparing him to Joe West and stuff, just to show the Flash how relatable that they certainly are. I even love the idea of Jefferson being able to tap into even the Oliver Queen stuff, when they knocked over the quiver and bow sort of thing, just to kind of give him that remembrance of what Oliver did.
Heart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they knocked over the mannequin and stuff. Yeah.
That hurt my heart.
It brought things back to earth.
Very right.
Yeah. Right back.
And he looked at it like, Yeah, bro.
I
Oliver would have
fucked
put an
up.
arrow in your head right now.
Yeah, yeah, but I love the fact that you at least get somebody in there, because you're right. I don't know if there's anybody else in this season that can really talk to Barry in that sense of humanizing him a little bit, making his decisions feel a little bit more personal and at home sort of thing. So bringing somebody in like Black Lightning to do that, to be that voice, I thought was actually pretty brilliant on their part, and I loved it. Great action, I thought, and just great moments between these two. This is what I wanted to see more of in Crisis that we didn't get. So I'm glad that we got to see that in this episode.
There's only two other people that you could have probably bought in, and that's Sarah Lance and Mia Queen. And now's not the time.
And maybe not even. Well, I guess maybe Mia, but yeah, I was gonna say maybe even Sarah. Definitely Sarah.
Yeah, I believe Sarah could have handled it. Mia would have just, because the whole thing about Mia is, and I think they're trying to get away from that, because then you're relying on the Oliver Queen thing again, rather than letting him do it on his own.
She's popping up in this too, isn't she? And I guess now that they're in 2031, maybe that's where she comes into play here. It'd be interesting to see, but yeah, I watched it. So yeah, I guess if anything, maybe I'll actually keep up with the five parts.
Keep watching.
Yeah, I'll keep watching it.
Come join the reviews.
Yeah, maybe I will just go ahead and pick your brains and stuff. But anyway, guys, before we get further on the tangent, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Robbie Amell, that was the main storyline coming to The Flash season 8. Will Caitlin get the happy ending? Will Ronnie stick around this time? Definitely go ahead and let us know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below.
Last thing I'll say about the topic with Ronnie is that if it's not a way to write Caitlin out of the show, please don't put them in the same scene together, because that's just cruel.
That's cruel. that is cruel after everything she's been through. Absolutely. All right, guys. And last topic for the day, we're going to go ahead and stick into the realm of DC here for you guys. But Shazam is back in the news. That's right. Zachary Levi got the opportunity to sit down with Collider.com this past week and talk about his levels of anticipation for Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, which over at DC Fandom, we got the opportunity to see some new looks at, some new photos and things like that. I don't believe we've gotten a full-on trailer yet. Have we, guys? I don't believe we have as of yet, but hopefully it'll certainly be here soon. But we've been keeping you guys up to date over on our Facebook page with some of the behind-the-scenes photos, the brand new costume that Zachary Levi is going to be having. I believe DC Fandom did at least have a behind-the-scenes sort of interview with Zachary Levi and the rest of the cast, just talking about how huge the scope of this movie is certainly going to be, and it definitely got me extremely excited for what this movie could certainly turn out to be. So much, in fact, that Zachary Levi thinks that Shazam 2 could actually be even better than the first one. I don't know if it would take that much hard work to do. Not to say that I didn't like Shazam, but there's so much more that this movie can certainly be, and it seems as though the sequel is set to go ahead and tap into it. So let's go ahead and dive into this article, guys. This is from Collider.com. Shazam 2, Zachary Levi believes Shazam 2 is better than the first one and wants it to come out sooner. I hear you, man. He says, I'm very proud of it. I want it to come out sooner than June of 2023, which just seems obnoxiously far away. It says director David Sandberg's Shazam was a breath of fresh air, full of heart, warmth, humor, and some ingenious, even horror-tinged set pieces. The Zachary Levi starred DC film immediately stood out as one of the best superhero flicks of that traditionally Batman and Superman-oriented stable of cinema. Thankfully, we are all getting a sequel by the name of Shazam, Fury of the Gods, with a returning creative team and cast to give us more unique superhero pleasures. It says our own Steve Weintraub recently spoke with Levi in regards to this. And while Levi couldn't dive deep into the new Shazam secrets, he told us just about how much of a leap in quality he thinks the sequel is. And like the rest of us, wishes that it would come out sooner. So this is what Zachary Levi says. He says, I will say that I genuinely, and this is not just lip service, I'm really proud of the first one. I think we made a really, really good movie. I think the second one is better. I think that we had more time, we had more budget. We had essentially the entire cast returning, and we all knew our characters a little bit more. We could kind of sit into them a little bit more. Henry Gayden, who wrote the first script, wrote the second, and he did a fantastic job doing so. Everything just clicked even a little bit more and a little bit more. And also the kids have grown up a little bit more. So even the sensibilities of them become even slightly more mature, which brings it closer to my or other people's adult minds. So there's even more connection there, I think. The action's great. The comedy's great. The relationships are great. The bad guys, Helen Mirra and Lucy Liu, are fantastic. I'm very proud of it. I wanted to come out sooner than June of 2023, and I certainly can't blame him, guys, at all. I'm really excited for this film, and we'll see what we wind up getting when it comes to Shazam 2. But let me throw this over to you first, Stuart. You hear this in regards to how Zachary Levi views this sequel. Did he drop off? He fell out of here. Hopefully he'll pop back up. Hopefully no. So let me throw this to you, Indy. In regards to Zachary Levi's comments, what are your thoughts in regards to this? How he feels the show, the movie has in fact grown, not just the kids getting older, but the scope, the villains, the budget, and how the story has certainly developed. What are you thinking about this, Indy?
It makes sense. It makes sense for multiple reasons. For one, because this was probably the best DC movie of that slate when they were coming out. It was the one that nobody expected to be as good as it was. It was a great family film, but it was also a great comic book movie. It was just the basis of everything you needed for something to be entertaining without trying to do too much, as most of the movies do. And with being successful, you're going to get a bigger budget. You know, you're going to be able to do more. The scope of the story that they want to tell, but also you're eventually going to have that collision with that titan of Dwayne Johnson. I'm not even calling Black Adam anymore. It's just Dwayne Johnson. And you have to build a hero and have a bigger scope for those two forces to combine, because if Billy Batson stays as Billy Batson is, there is no comparison in between the two. So you need to have something just as big, because Black Adam is going to be huge. The scope, the lore, the story, the way it's shot. So you have to have a hero on the other side who is being built up to be as big as that's not named Superman, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with you there, man. The idea of seeing Shazam from the first one and planting him in, say, a movie like Black Adam, or what that potentially could be, or even with Superman, there definitely seems to be like a disconnect. Like there definitely has to be a leap of what Shazam certainly is as a movie and a character to get there. And so I definitely agree with you, Indy, in the sense that Fury of the Gods feels like that's certainly setting it up, especially with its scope that we're definitely going to be seeing there. Let me pass this over to you, Stuart, as you are in fact back. You hear this information in regards to Zachary Levi, why he thinks the second one is going to be so much better than the first one. Even though he was a big fan of the first one, he just sees how everything has matured so much more, whether that be storytelling, scope, the children itself, the budget. What are your thoughts in regards to hearing what Zachary Levi is talking about here?
I think one of the advantages to having younger actors is as they grow up and become older, you can write more mature stories around them. So it's almost like the movies themselves are maturing along with the people that you've casted in it. So I totally get what he's saying here. So we got like a slightly older cast than we got before. So they're going to be a lot more experienced when it comes to acting, which means you're probably going to have directors giving them a lot more to do now that they know that they can handle it. So the full cast is going to have a lot more to do. And then, yeah, he's mentioning bigger budget, bigger, just overall, it sounds like it's going to be bigger, which is like, I think Indy like put it perfectly. If they're going to bring him to fight Black Adam later on, they really got to up the stakes for this movie, so he knows what kind of a threat he's going to be facing when the two of them inevitably do face off sometime in the future. So I really look forward to seeing how much they kind of one up the stakes of this movie more than anything else, because I do feel like it's going to be one of those things where personal drama is going to be involved, but I think the bigger stakes is it's going to be probably world-ending destruction if they can't do anything about it. If our heroes in this movie can't do anything about it.
Yeah, because we definitely still have the Shazam family. That's going to be a major part of this movie. Also, two villains in here as well. B plus to Shazam equals Power Rangers with capes and underwear.
That's funny.
Well, we'll see here. But I'm really excited for this movie. I truly am. Again, I was a big fan of the first one, so the idea of seeing what they could potentially do with the second one has me really intrigued. I think, I do feel like there is a segment of maybe DC fans, of people that maybe weren't necessarily the biggest fan of this particular film. Maybe it felt a little bit too small, a little bit too, maybe a little bit too much humor, sort of thing, because it did feel vastly different than anything else that we certainly wind up getting. But I love that originality aspect about it. I love that uniqueness. And for somebody who, and this may be blasphemy for some people, for somebody who, as myself, wasn't a big fan of Zachary Levi prior to this. I didn't watch him in Chuck or that much of anything else. But after seeing him in this movie, I became such a huge fan. Going to conventions, seeing him do some Q&A panels. He's probably one of the better presenters that I've ever seen in regards to it. Hilarious, really kind gentleman from everything that I've seen of him so far. He's just become a really big fan favorite of mine. And so to hear him talk a little bit about Shazam 2 really makes me confident that this movie is going to be pretty great. And I do agree with you guys. I mean, now that we've gotten sort of that origin story of Shazam sort of out of the way, this is now the time to go ahead and make him maybe even a bigger force in the DCEU, certainly going forward. And you're right, Stuart. There is something also about continuity. The idea of having a lot of these actors returning, growing up with their characters, growing up with the same writers and the same crew and cast that did the first one. I think, if anything, that's the type of stuff that really draws the best out of you and really makes you put your best foot forward. And I think by understanding who your characters are that you're acting as, or if the writers are understanding the actors who they are as a person even more, and maybe writing that into their characters, all that stuff really does go a long way in creating a new dynamic and really pushing the Shazam storyline forward. So I would say to people that maybe felt kind of hesitant when it comes to the first Shazam, or didn't really care too much about it, I do think that maybe Shazam 2 might be a little bit more up your alley. So I'm really enjoying what Zachary Levi is certainly saying here. And yes, can we please get this movie before June of 2023? Like, the movie is wrapped. Post-production's not going to take 2 years or a year and a half to kind of put this movie together. Please let this come out sometime much sooner than that. Do you guys think that at some point in time Warner Brothers will bump this movie up? With hopefully the pandemic, who knows what's going on with this new variant, but as long as the movie theaters and stuff continue to open, box office continues to do well, do you see WB changing gears and pushing this movie forward, or do you think they're going to be pretty adamant about that June 2023 date?
I honestly think because of the Decepticon virus that people are still scared about what's going on.
Oh, that Autobots one?
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I really feel like there's a reason why they put that movie there. And I think they might have a story that they're trying to tell, and that's why they had that movie there. If it can be moved up without spoiling anything else, I think they will. But
when does Black Adam come out?
I know it's before 2023.
Yeah.
Oh, July 2029. July 29th, 2022.
Yeah.
So yeah, next year. That's the summer movie. So yeah, you're right. Maybe in the sense of how the story is being told, what happens in Black Adam, maybe there are some ramifications or moments in Shazam 2 that Black Adam has to happen first. But I still think you can knock this movie out before July 2023.
If it was
you could do it before then.
Yeah. If it was before the pandemic, I would say, probably not going to happen. But ever since the pandemic, I feel like movie releases are now kind of like video game releases, in the sense where it's more of a guideline, but it really doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. I almost feel like the reason the stuff happens in Shazam 2 might be directly because of what happens in Black Adam.
Could be. Could be. Maybe that's where the two villains come from. Maybe he's somehow awoken them, or whatever the case may be. Nathan Moore says, I love to see DC building. Yeah, it is kind of a breath of fresh air to kind of see that a lot of these movies are finally in front of the camera. Hopefully the movies certainly turn out to be pretty well. But what are you gonna say, Andy?
Nah, bro. Screw DC. Stop playing with me. I need the second half of the Young Justice season, and I need my season 3 of Harley Quinn like now. You're playing games.
It's coming though. It's coming, man. It's coming. They're working on it. When it comes to Harley Quinn. But yeah, no. Hopefully, this will be a great momentum shift for DC. Certainly going forward, as they have a couple of really intriguing projects under their belt. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. Oh, go ahead.
DC does have The Witcher coming into. Oh, my bad. It's not DC.
That's messed up. Show DC some love, man, for a change. All right, but guys, we want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think about what Zachary Levi is saying? Are you even more excited for Shazam 2 after hearing what he certainly had to say? Were you big fans of the first one? Maybe you weren't. Are you anticipating this one now? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for all of our topics today, as he gets ready to go ahead and snap us out of existence over there with his big old Thanos gauntlet. Uh-oh.
He's gonna bring both of them.
Both of them. Oh man.
Just figured if crap. Just figured if we're playing with Infinity Gauntlets.
Yeah. We might as well go make the questions disappear.
I guess I should get my gauntlet. Hold on a second, guys. Nah,
I keep knocking my headphones out every time I try using them.
Man, how much do those cost you, man? How much do those cost you guys? Those are huge.
I had the benefit of being a district manager for GameStop when they released, so mine didn't cost me anything. When I got it.
This one I believe was $100, but it was like I thought for sure it was actually like a limited kind of thing that they had, so I got it immediately. This one was like I think less than $80. I got it on some really good sale that I had to take advantage of, so I got 2 Infinity Gauntlets. Yeah,
I love it. All right, guys, and with that, I guess we should start diving into the live viewer questions today. So let's go ahead and do it. You guys ready to tackle some questions with me?
Look, always. I'm surprised I lasted this long.
A couple breaks in between. We actually have quite a few emails here, guys. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Jessica Fryman certainly coming through as always. Are there any plans to have Kate and Bruce come back to Gotham one day? And which Supergirl character besides Kara would you like to see come visit Superman and Lois? For Superman and Lois, I've got 2. I would love to see the Martian Manhunter, and I'll even take Brainiac if I can. Granted, I haven't seen the season finale yet of Supergirl, believe it or not. I still have not watched the 2-hour season finale, so I don't know what happens with hardly any of these characters. But if I had to pick just without knowing the ending, Martian Manhunter and Brainiac are the ones I would like to see. Andy, do you think Kate and Bruce come back to Gotham any day?
No.
Okay. I want them to, but it's not likely to happen anytime soon.
Hold on. What Kate? Are you talking?
I'm assuming Wallace Day.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah,
no, I assume Wallace Day at some point will come back. When people say Kate, I automatically go Ruby. She's never coming back.
She's never come back.
No, she not only burned that bridge, she killed all the construction workers too. So that bridge is burnt and never getting built again. Ever. Yeah, no, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I would love to see like both Wallace Day's Kate return and since they have a pretty decent actor playing him, I would love to see more Bruce. I'd love to see them build him up a little bit more. For the Supergirl question though, I want to give like a different answer, even though like technically that would probably be my answer is the same as Adam, but I'm going with a different answer, probably either Dreamer or just because I think it'd be so funny how out of place she would be, Cat Grant.
That was actually dope.
Cat Grant's a great one, I think.
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen.
Yes.
Yes, let's bring James back. It's James Olsen.
It's friggin' Jimmy.
James. Put some respect on his name. All right, here we go. AJ's got a couple questions. How would you feel if right before the premiere of Spider-Man No Way Home, another trailer had been revealed and shows the exact cameos of Toby and Andrew? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that, would they?
They could do a TV spot after it's in after like it's in after it's in theaters. I could see them doing that because they do that. They did that with Ant-Man, I remember, with the Falcon scene.
Doesn't matter. Like, be totally honest with you. At this point, this is the worst kept secret in the world. I honestly don't think it would matter. And I don't think those are the biggest cameos in the movie. I think there's something we're missing, and there's a bigger cameo in the movie, and they're using this to hide that.
Okay. I kind of dig that. I can see that. Yeah, I kind of dig that. With Spider-Man coming out in a couple of weeks and The Matrix 4 coming right before Christmas, do you think The Matrix 4 will obviously be overshadowed by Spider-Man and not make a lot of money at the box office? Though we'll be streaming on HBO Max at the same time it premieres, so the film can still make its money back. I mean, it doesn't make money watching on HBO Max. It's for free. In that regards, but people who aren't able to get tickets for Spider-Man don't care, but still want a new movie to enjoy, sort of mentality. Do you think Matrix 4 will take a hit with Spider-Man No Way Home being out? Because I think they're only a week apart, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you want to go?
Yeah, as someone who works at the movie theaters, I can tell you that a lot of moviegoers tend to go once a month. So I do think it'll probably hurt its numbers in theaters. I do think a lot of people are going to watch it on HBO Max, but I don't think it's going to do like the big numbers it would have gotten if it was being released like on the month on its own.
Just to clarify the release date here, Matrix 4 drops on a Wednesday, the 22nd, and Spider-Man No Way Home drops December 17th, that Friday. So not even a full week after No Way Home, but like a half a week, 4 days.
I honestly feel that if it was flipped the other way around, a Matrix dropped first, that's where it ends up hurting. It dropping second, I think, is actually the best situation they can have for themselves and dropping that month, because there's going to be a rush to see Spider-Man. Don't disrespect The Matrix. The Matrix is a huge movie. Keanu himself is a draw, period. But I don't think they're looking at doing original Matrix type numbers. I think they're aiming for like John Wick type numbers in order for the movie to be successful. And that's why I feel like it's going to sit at is that the Matrix movie itself isn't an event. It's a story. If you want to go see the continuation of a story, the Spider-Man is being billed as an event. And I'm still not understanding how people can get tickets. Like the whole theater by my house is still available. Like nobody's even ordered. Like I'm gonna be able to.
Nobody hangs out in Gary, Indiana, man.
I'm in
the backwoods, bro.
True. It's not the backwoods.
No, I'm just kidding.
We're the armpit of Chicago, but it's something a little bit different. But like out here in this area, period. Like in the Midwestern region, like we're gonna be able just to walk into the theater and get whatever ticket we want. You know what I'm saying, to go see the movie, because out here nobody's still going out to see movies because we still have a very high numbers when it comes to COVID. Like, you know what I'm saying, in our area. So I'm just gonna be able to go see a 2:15 show with no problem at all and sit where I want to sit. But for the Matrix, to be totally honest with you, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to get a ticket because we're seeing the tickets for the Matrix fly out here. So I think it depends on where you're at and in comparison also. So it's going to be interesting, but I see the Matrix having maybe a little bit longer staying power, especially with them being on HBO Max, than what you have with, you know what I'm saying, Spider-Man eventually is going to wear off, and Spider-Man is going to get spoiled a whole lot faster than what the Matrix will too.
I definitely get what you're saying, Indy. I mean, especially when it comes to Keanu Reeves, the Keanu-sans certainly is a real thing. So do I think the Matrix will make its money? I do. Do I think it'll be undercut by Spider-Man? I do. I think it's got two things against it. I think it's got the idea that it's on HBO Max. So if people don't want to go to the theaters, they can easily just pop it on if they want to, if they've got a subscription to HBO Max, which will undercut its box office. We've seen how that affected some of the other Disney Plus movies that have been out like that when you do the simultaneous release. And I think because of the fact that you mentioned No Way Home is an event, I think it's one of those things where while everybody certainly is trying to see it the first day, I think it's also going to be a movie that will have a lot of repeat value. And I think word of mouth also, if you didn't get the opportunity to check it out the first weekend, a lot of people are going to want to come back and watch it again or see it again on the second weekend. And if you're side by side with The Matrix, well, not to say that The Matrix is crap and nobody wants to see The Matrix. I think the idea that when it comes to the Wachowskis, they have had some hit or has had some misses since the Matrix trilogy itself. So maybe there is some hesitation that is the Matrix going to be even good? Maybe it's a wait and see sort of mentality of how people like Matrix 4, and then maybe they'll go out and see it. But to be that close to No Way Home, while maybe the Matrix 4 will make some money, I do think that they could have made more money, maybe like a 2-week buffer or something like that after No Way Home.
I want Stuart's opinion on this. What if No Way Home ends up being bad?
It's a possibility.
Then it has a chance, actually, because at that point, a lot of people who would be going to going back to the movies that next week would normally be planning to go there to take other people to see Spider-Man. But
let's
then
go
they're
see
be
Matrix
like,
instead.
You know what? Spider-Man sucked. Let's go see Matrix instead. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, if anything, I do think that it will suffer a little bit. But we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But when it comes to the Matrix losing money, Matrix is already, to be totally honest with you, making them money because it's driving DirecTV and HBO Max purchases up. Because coming from where I work from, I've literally been selling TV, telephone, and friggin' HBO Max literally off of the Matrix. If nice. People coming in, can I watch that on HBO? I could do that. Do I get that with this? Well, I'm gonna get this for a month then. Let me get that DirecTV stream for $80 a month or whatever, so I can get that free HBO Max. You know what I'm saying, for the month. So they're gonna make their money. Like I said, I think they're shooting for John Wick more dollars than they are trying to get in. You know what I'm saying, to the billions. But they're also using these films they be putting out, Dune, Space Jam, to drive up their TV sales and different stuff like that. So they're in a little bit of a different game right now, similar to what Disney was playing earlier with the stuff being on Disney Plus. They're playing that game.
I totally get you. Let's see here. We got last question from AJ. With Robbie and Amell returning to The Flash season 8, how do you think he comes back? We kind of talked about that a little bit.
Sexy.
Yeah, not wrong.
Could this potentially lead this season to be Danielle Panabaker's exit? I think that's where we're leaning, right?
Yeah, I'm leaning to her being out. She just had a kid. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff she want to do. They're giving her character less and less to do. I think it will be Caitlin's exit. I don't think it will be Danielle Panabaker exit, because I think Frost will stick around, but she'll go from a series regular to, you know what I'm saying, just occasionally popping up.
What do you think brings him back? How do you think he comes back?
I think he never left.
Oh, really?
I think he went into the hole and then he just came back, and he's just getting back. I've always felt at some time he was coming back because he just disappeared.
Okay.
If you don't see a body, they're still alive.
That's right. That's true. That's absolutely true. Let's see here. Johnny Lawrence. What's up, Johnny? Isn't that Johnny Lawrence? Isn't that from Cobra Kai? No?
I think so.
Johnny Lawrence.
That's what's her name? Brother. No,
Johnny
that's Joey Lawrence. That's
Joey Lawrence.
Yeah.
Joey Lawrence. Let's see here. What's up, Johnny? He says, "Hi, I'm new here. Saw your videos trending in my YouTube recommendations. Hey, we trending. Yeah, we trending. How excited are you for the upcoming Spider-Man movie? Do you think it's going to be huge or just another MCU film? How would you feel if Toby and Andrew He said Toby Macaroni and Andrew Garfunkel do not actually appear, but most likely they could, considering three of the villains from their respective franchises are in the movie. So yeah, how excited are we? Do we think it's going to be huge or just another MCU? And how would you feel if they don't appear? Oh, go ahead, sir.
Even if it's not going to be the most well-written movie, I do think it's going to be huge in the sense that it's going to feel like a big event. And if Andrew and Toby aren't in the movie, I don't know if I would be mad, but I would be very, very surprised because I feel like, it's kind of like the thing I said about Kingpin with Hawkeye. If you're not going to bring back the same person when everyone on the internet is pretty sure that you're bringing back the same or you're bringing these people back, I feel like that's a Band-Aid Disney would be smart enough to just rip off now and just get it over with. But because they haven't said that they're not in the movie after all this time, after they've had all this time to say so, I think they're going to be in it. I feel like if they weren't, you would have heard something from either the actors or from Disney by now.
Andrew Garfield's literally been on like a 6-month denial tour.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Every time we see Andrew Garfield, he's like, "I am not in this movie." How many times do I have to tell you guys?
Hasn't.
But yeah, Toby's been dead ass silent.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I
Toby
agree.
wants to be in the movie. Like, please let me be in this movie.
So does Kristen Dunst. She came out recently and said, "I would love to play an old Mary Jane." Who wouldn't? Of course, you guys would want to come back for a Spider-Man movie.
Nah. Any woman that was in an older Spider-Man movie, if you haven't aged as well as Marissa Tomei, stay the hell away from the movies because you are not ready for those memes.
That's hilarious. I'm super excited for the movie. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm keeping my expectations low on Andrew and Toby. Again, we've said around here before, I think we're under the impression that yes, they will be in the movie. I'm not expecting them to be in there too long, and if they are, I'm expecting it to just be masks on. But maybe we do see them without their masks on. So I'm keeping my expectations low just in case, because Disney hasn't said anything. A lot of people have been denying it. So if people are disappointed, I think that's more on the fans' expectations of what they had for this movie per se than what was sold to you. But if anything, I would agree with you, Stuart, in the sense that the movie's going to be so big, such an event film, that I think even if it is bad, I think people will still go out and see it. So I do think that it's going to be a huge movie. It feels rather ambitious. I feel like, Benedict Cumberbatch has mentioned how ambitious this movie is. Tom Holland has mentioned how ambitious this movie is. Sometimes that ambitiousness can get you a little bit ahead of yourself and forget the true story aspects. But this movie is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. Seeing all the Doctor Strange and the Peter Parker stuff with his identity that's being revealed, I think they're going to hit all the necessary character moments, emotional moments, storyline arcs, great surprises, great action that we've all been looking forward to. So I'm expecting it to be a huge movie and not just another MCU film. What about you, Indy?
I'm calling it right now. Neither one of them in the film. The people that have been edited out of the film are Daredevil and Venom.
Ooh, no Miles in there though. Nah,
I don't want to. Look. You wanted an A+ opinion, not a prayer.
I like it. I like the bold opinion, man. And then Johnny also asked, how do you feel of the new Power Ranger universe going to Netflix instead of theaters? I have not seen. Adam's words give me goosebumps. I hope my words always give people goosebumps. They say I've got that angelical voice. How do you feel of the new Power Ranger universe going to Netflix instead of theaters? I have not seen the movie from 2017, but I heard it wasn't well received in the box office. What does this mean for you guys when it comes to Power Rangers being revamped for Netflix? Is Power Rangers still on TV? I gave up on the weird ninja series, is what he said.
Which one was that?
I'm assuming Ninja Storm, if I had to guess, maybe, or maybe Ninja Steel. Yeah, maybe Ninja Steel.
I mean, the two Ninja seasons that they have are probably some of the silliest seasons for Power Rangers, both Storm and Steel.
But I love Storm though; it's pretty good.
Oh, me too.
The non-Power Ranger-esque fan here in Indy, let me ask you: how do you feel about the new Power Ranger universe going to Netflix instead of the theaters? And I guess you weren't a big fan of the 2017 film, huh?
One, sir, the only reason I'm not a Power Ranger fan is your fault. I was a Power Ranger fan until you introduced me to Sentai.
Oh,
you
and then I ruined it for you.
Go Geiger, and you ruined everything Power Rangers for me.
Man. I'm sorry.
So it's not my fault.
I just provide good content, man. I just want to lead you in the correct path, Indy. That's it. How do you feel about it going to Netflix instead of theaters?
I like that. To be totally honest with you, I don't think Power Rangers is something that needs to exist in a theatrical base. The two movies that we got in the theaters that we loved with Turbo and the movie were cash grabs to start off with. It's like those didn't have to be. They could have pulled a Dragon Ball Super and adapted those into the series. You know what I'm saying? And spent a little bit more money on the series. They turned around and did it anyway. It makes absolute no sense to me. And I really feel like if Netflix is going to do it right, and I would love so much for the different Boom Comics adaptations of Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, and everything else to be adapted, because those are amazing stories. And if you want to do that, take it back to what gave us some of our best, you know what I'm saying, storyline. Dude, my favorite, and people hate me because I love the Disney era of Power Rangers. I love Mystic Force. I love Dino Thunder. And it was because I felt like those were good stories. I love Operation Overdrive. Like they were telling stories in the Power Rangers universe. If we can get back to that, instead of just having 5-minute lessons taught in 15 minutes and then a 2-minute battle, we would be good.
I thought Disney handled them pretty well, but yeah, no, I've said it for a while. I've been pushing the idea that I believe that Power Rangers was going to go straight to streaming instead of theaters for months now. We did a video back in June earlier this year where I talked about the idea of the best decision for Power Rangers is streaming and not the theaters. I mean, you do now have two bombs in the box office with Power Rangers Turbo and the 2017 Power Ranger film, which got mixed reactions, but I felt like probably received more positive reviews than negative. But it's one of those things that it wasn't. Those reviews don't showcase the amount of people that actually came out and watched the movie. And so because it didn't do too well in the box office, it just financially, it just doesn't make any sense for me as to why would somebody want to go ahead and put a couple $100 million towards another movie and put it back out in the theaters when the one you just did 5 or 6 years ago didn't do too well. So financially, to avoid that risk, streaming is the way to go these days. There's, with the streaming wars out there are a ton of people that want content for their streaming service. People will pay a hefty penny for Power Rangers for sure.
Look, I'm sorry. Look, while Bat and the Sun is out here trying to make Power Ranger remakes with the thing in the Legend of the White Dragon, and yes, I did kickstart it. I'm also a Jason David Frank stan, even though I think he can't act. I just love what he does for the community.
Yeah, me too.
They should have put that money into redoing the last 15 minutes of that 2017 Power Rangers movie, and that would have made that movie perfect. It wasn't until the last 15 to 20 minutes that movie fell off. That's it. It was an incredible movie up until the finale, and you're like, what did they do? Just melt Zords together? That looked like one of them toys you got from Family Dollar that said Ranger Power.
Or like the McDonald's Happy Meal toy or something. Like you just put it together like, come on, man.
It's like if someone decided to make the Power Rangers movie based on either the McDonald's adaptations of the toys or one of those cheap Power Ranger rip-off toys that you would see at kind of a an outdoor market or something, like one of the bootleg Power Rangers.
Facts.
Yeah. I think with it being on Netflix, though, one good advantage that it has is that it's all in one area. So if you're doing either, let's say, a Power Rangers movie or Power Rangers television show, you don't have to worry as much about when you're making the movies of whether or not people have seen the show or not, because if it's all on the same streaming platform, who cares if they've seen the show? You can literally go and watch it right then and there to know what's going on in this movie. I feel like if they were going with the theater route, one of the issues they would have had, let's say the shows were on Netflix, but the movies were in theaters, you wouldn't be able to have as much connectivity between the two of them, because you got to assume everyone watching the movie has not seen the show in order to have it, kind of make sense. If you try to introduce plot elements and not explain them that were originally introduced from, one thing, and then you watch watch them in the other. It's just not a good way to get people as involved. But with it all being in one area on Netflix, I think that's a great decision. And kind of going back on what Indy was saying when it comes to the Disney era of Power Rangers, I think my one concern about it, and it kind of comes to the fact that Netflix tends to want things to be filmed in a very specific standard, at least so I'm told. This is according to What Culture article that I read a little while ago, is that Netflix is very specific on how they want to have their things filmed. And one of the things I really liked about the Disney era of Power Rangers was that every season felt like a very different show. And I really want to see that come back to Power Rangers. So the one thing about it being on Netflix and with them happen to feel very consistent about the way they're all filmed is that it could possibly lead to, you know, them having kind of the same problem with Power Rangers that they currently do, which is like every season every season's too similar to the previous one, which is one of the kind of issues that I have with the you know, ever since Power Rangers moved to Nickelodeon.
Or can we go back to when we had a group grow? You know what I'm saying? With different seasons, it's the originality I think that is missing there. Whether they don't want to pay kids or what's ever going on, they switch Power Ranger teams more than friggin' the Kardashians switch boyfriends.
That's also another good point. I would love to see them commit to a team.
And I think it hurts too. I mean, nothing wrong with seeing new casts and things like that. But I think what made the original MMPR so successful and part of our pop culture is that we literally grew up with these people. You know what I'm saying? Like you had a cast members that you would see grow as characters over 3, 4, 5, several different seasons. And I think that type of stuff, that connectivity really does certainly go a long way. So I definitely agree with you guys. Couple other questions here from Doomsday. Can you do your best impression of the classic Terminator movie line? I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'll be back. Yeah, I can't do it.
That's pretty good.
I can't do that.
You gonna say COVID? Come on. Yeah, COVID can't beat Terminator, bro.
Nah, see you soon, homies.
Okay, all right. He's like, nah, I'm not into that. I can't remember if I asked this question before or not, but is there a reason why I currently don't understand Tony's hide the zucchini joke in Age of Ultron?
I feel like he gets the joke. He just really wants us to explain. He wants this video to be demonetized, so he wants us to explain in detail what it means.
Hide the zucchini. All right. I almost forgot about that line until you brought it up, Doomsday. Yeah, language. Hasta la vista, baby. It says B plus. Thank you very much, man. How will you be watching Spider-Man No Way Home? Will you be watching it on release, after its release, and IMAX? So I actually got my ticket for Dolby Cinema. So I'm not going to be seeing it on the pre-screening release date of the 16th, which is Thursday. I'll actually be seeing it on the 17th, that Friday afternoon, in a Dolby. I know that they've been pushing the whole IMAX thing to see, but I almost feel like the Dolby screen is just as big as an IMAX screen sort of thing. So I feel like I'll still get the same view, and I love just the quality and the audio that comes with the Dolby Cinema, man. It's unlike anything else. So I'll see it in Dolby Cinemas. Are any of you guys seeing it in IMAX?
I'm going to be testing it out on our XD theater the night before. So it'll be an XD, which is also pretty good too.
Yeah. I'm also doing Dolby, but it'll be Thursday, 2:15 for me.
Man, they pushing IMAX. Nobody's seen it in IMAX, man.
The closest IMAX is open to me is like an hour, 20 minutes away. So I walk out my back door and it's a theater right there. That's where I'm going.
There is a classic IMAX theater out here in Fort Worth at their I want to say their science museum, that it's got like the really high seats with the actual round like screen that kind of almost like an observatory sort of thing. I remember seeing The Force Awakens on that, and literally it just like engulfed my whole entire head watching it. So I don't know, maybe since it's close by here in Fort Worth, maybe I'll try and see if I can steal some tickets, maybe like a week or two after it's released. Let's see here. Next couple of questions. Adam Perea, he says, with the new trailer from Into the Spider-Verse, do you think it can capture the same awesomeness as the first one? And what do you want to see pop up or even reference to for the sequels? Any nod to the actual live action Tom Holland Spidey films? I do think that there will be a nod to the Tom Holland films. That I do think, just hearing what Lord and Miller had to say in regards to how epic this is, so big that they had to split it into 2 movies. I really am thinking that if maybe not in part 1, but maybe at least in part 2, we get some Tom Holland references and connections. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe part 1, we get to see like some Easter eggs here and there before something bigger in part 2. But do you think it can capture the same awesomeness, guys?
Definitely possible. I mean, we got the same people working on it, so I'm fully confident in it.
I think from the teaser we already did that.
Yeah, as far as like, yeah, I mean, definitely our expectations for sure. I mean, like I said, Into the Spider-Verse was a lot of people's favorite Spider-Man film. That's a lot of competing to have to do against yourself to see if you can top that. So we'll see.
You know what I'm surprised they didn't do for this movie? I'm surprised they didn't title it with into being 2 different words, Into the Spider-Verse.
I see what you did there. Missed opportunity, guys. The marketing. See, hire Stewart. What are some of your favorite Christmas films and shows, considering it is soon to be Christmas and New Year's Eve? Well, I'm glad you asked. I literally just got finished watching Jingle All the Way yesterday or 2 days ago, and then I just watched Elf as of last night with the girlfriend. So we've already started our Christmas movie watching, and especially for her, because I don't. While they have, I believe, maybe they've celebrated Christmas, has never been like a really big thing around their house, so it's not something that's super important to them, type of thing. So like for me though, I absolutely love Christmas, so I think this might be me putting some of my Christmas movies onto my girlfriend, but I think she's completely open to checking it out. But do you guys have any favorite Christmas films?
I'm going to throw in a few movies and specials and say that these are all probably my favorites. Die Hard, Muppets Christmas Carol, and I also loved Elf. That movie is amazing. Those are some of my favorite Christmas movies. And Christmas special, I definitely recommend checking out the South Park Woodland Critter Christmas, the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Christmas special. There's one scene in particular in that made me laugh so hard. I legit had to pause the episode and catch my breaths because it was just like so weird and bizarre. And then number 3, I recently just got finished binging all of Community for the first time, and I really loved their Christmas special, which was actually done in stop motion.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat.
Yes.
What about you, Andy? You big into Christmas movies?
My list is kind of weird. I got like 4. First off, Scrooged. Hands down, Bill Murray's Scrooge to me is the best interpretation of that story.
I love it.
Gremlins.
Yes, that's another one I always watch every year.
I don't know. Thank you. I'm glad somebody does.
I do. Yeah, it's a mainstay for me. Yeah, it is a Christmas movie.
What is the name of that movie? The Night Before. With Seth Rogen and Gordon Levitt and Anthony Mackie.
Is that a Christmas movie?
Yeah. The whole movie takes place about, what I'm saying, a party that happens about Christmas. It's a real.
I've seen that. Maybe I haven't seen that one.
I've seen the trailers for it, but I haven't seen the movie yet.
All right, and I don't know if y'all are gonna be on the stance.
Oh, I have seen it. I have seen it once. Yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna be on the stance with this, but to me, it's a Christmas movie. Trading Places.
That's a classic, huh? Yeah, that's a classic, huh?
Yeah, Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in such a long time, bro. Maybe I'll add that to my list this year and check it out. Maybe I'll add that to my.
I actually haven't seen it, so I'm definitely adding it to my list now.
I saw Train, Planes, Automobiles as a Christmas movie. I've never seen that one before. But I see that pop up on the holiday section on my streaming services a bunch of times. I am a sucker for the classics. I love A Christmas Story.
Christmas Story is amazing.
I absolutely watch that. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. And then believe it or not, oh my God, it just the title just fucking lost me.
Another newer one that nobody gives any
It's a
doesn't give its
Wonderful
just
Life.
due.
It's a Wonderful
Yes.
Life is another one. I watched.
Another newer movie people don't give its just due is Office Christmas Party.
I did see that
I
one.
did
That
see
was
that
pretty
one.
funny.
Yeah.
I did see that one. That was pretty funny. So yeah, guys, some great options for you guys to certainly go ahead and check out. I mean, they've got Santa Claus is out there. Jack Frost with Michael Keaton is out there. I've seen on some streaming services too. So there's plenty to certainly enjoy. What do you guys think of the Armageddon crossover so far? Without saying too much details, and do you see the 8th season potentially keeping the momentum as of now?
If the 8th season is written the same way this special is written, they're good. They're good. The writing, I haven't had writing like this since like season 1 or 2. Like the writing for this special, if it's the same style writing throughout the season will be probably the best season of The Flash.
It looks like they really knew what fans didn't like about season 7, because a lot of things that, people weren't a fan of, they seem to be fixing right off the bat. Like, Barry feels more like the Flash that we've wanted to see for a while. He's a confident leader, and he's not perfect, because like we kind of see in the last 2 episodes, he still lets his emotions overtake him at times. But he's still, like, as we see in that first episode, though, I think a really awesome leader that we wanted to see for a while. And then even with Iris West, she's become incredibly likable now as the new leader of her own, now having her own company that she now runs. I think that's pretty cool. They're able to give her own stories that can actually finally be separated from the Flash, instead of having to always, bring the two of them into their storylines together because they can't find anything for her to do. And on top of all of that, they even made Dion's dialogue not cringe, which I didn't think was possible. So, that's yeah, I think they've definitely learned a lot from the previous season, and they definitely want to really try to improve this one. But
yeah, it feels vastly different. I mean, I've fallen off after maybe like 2 seasons ago, but just coming back and watching the first 3 episodes, I'm loving Barry's confidence. I truly am. I'm loving the way that they're handling him in that sense. And yeah, I'm actually a really big fan of the Central City Citizens media that she's established for herself, and all that goodness. So I'm good start to the season. We'll see if it keeps up.
The first episode with the con was just written incredibly. Just the whole way they wrote that. They're doing the introductions of the characters, of the side characters, very well, because they don't have much screen time, but they're making everything that they do very important.
Very important. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Going right back to the last question about the Christmas movies, B Plus says check out Netflix's Love Hard. It's a very good Christmas movie. I did see the trailers for it. It actually looks pretty good, but when it comes to Netflix holiday movies, I'm a little bit wary, but maybe I'll give it a shot.
They tend to feel like Lifetime movies. In a lot of ways.
Just try to avoid them. But I'll definitely check out Love Hard, because the trailer looked actually pretty good. Marcelino Vasquez, he says, you guys might get a chuckle out of this one. Someone plans to write a comic where the story takes place in a world that's ravaged by crime, because the only superheroes are woke idiots who only virtue signaling and screaming at white people instead of actually fighting crime. Then a handful of people get powers and start actually making headway. If a comic like that ever gets made or ever gets adapted to TV, would you read it or watch it? I mean,
isn't that The Boys?
I love it.
I mean, like, it depends.
Interesting
Like,
concept.
If they were writing it in a way where it's actually funny, that'd be one thing. But I don't know if it feels like it's someone just being really petty, because it sounds very childish more than anything else. It sounds like how a child would write, comic books if he was trying to be political. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't, but if I hear people down the line saying it's actually pretty funny, you should check it out, then maybe.
Yeah, maybe we'll check it out. There are some. Oh, go on.
I'm too woke to watch it.
Yeah. There are some Marvel fans who don't think that the MCU works without Iron Man. Some even call Phase 4 Phase Bore. What do you think?
I disagree with that entirely.
They were Iron Man fans. They weren't fans of the MCU. because the MCU now to me has more substance than it ever did before.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. Let's see here. What else? One of the criticisms. Oops, hold on. One of the criticisms with the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover was that it was supposed to erase the multiverse, but the multiverse still exists. However, the comics eventually did the same thing years later, and there was no criticism back then. Plus, if the multiverse is supposed to be erased, then shouldn't all DC movies and TV shows that don't relate to the Arrowverse should be canceled or end?
Huh?
Yeah, basically, yeah. The big thing is that the multiverse wasn't like actually erased, but our main characters think it was. They don't know that there's ways to still travel to parallel universes currently. My assumption is Jay Garrett will eventually be the one to tell Barry that the multiverse is still out there, because clearly he's still traveling from different dimensions because he's on Stargirl. So yeah.
And I think also when it comes to comic book wise too,
It was well, it was a spoiler. They announced it.
No, I'm playing. I was like, I'm not done yet.
I was also going to say, I think when it comes to the comic book side of things, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe the comics did erase the multiverse. After Crisis. Maybe a few years after that, though, they did reintroduce them. So there was a period in time when there was no multiverse in the comic books. I don't know how people reacted to the reintroduction of it. But whereas here, when it comes to the Arrowverse, they really didn't skip a beat. In a sense of like, hey, we've just reorganized things. You guys don't know there's a multiverse, but there is certainly one out there. I can see the complaints. I can definitely understand that. But yeah.
That they played it as the viewers are smart enough to understand that the characters on the show don't know. They gave you insight to something that the characters didn't know, and that's honestly what it was, because they showed us at the end of Crisis that there was still other Earths out there, and showed us which ones were still there. But the reality to the point is that Barry and them don't. So it makes sense to me that it's written like that. I just feel like people just need to be smarter and think a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And then last sets of questions here. This is from Adrian Perez. Last sets of questions. With the news of the live action Mega Man coming to Netflix, do you think it's going to be good or bad like all other video game adaptations? Speaking of Mega Man, did you play the video games as a kid? What were some of your favorite video games growing up of all time? So yeah, I was very much a Mega Man Nintendo side of things. And then maybe the Mega Man X a little bit, but that's about it. That's kind of where I kind of fell off at. But I know I think it's still a little too early. I feel a little bit confident about it, but again, I think it's going to be all about who you have writing, directing, and really the style of live action that it's going to go. So hesitant, but I'm feeling a little bit more on the positive side of things.
You never want to
talk. Any favorite video games growing up as a kid?
For me, I was a huge Mega Man. There's not a Mega Man game I think that I haven't played, except for some of the ones that were on like Game Boy and stuff like that. I was a huge Mega Man X fan. Matter of fact, I just bought the collection, the Mega Man X collection, a while back, just to buy it, just to have it. Like, I didn't even play it through it. I just bought it because it was Mega Man. Nice. A huge Mega Man Legends fan. Loved Mega Man Legends. Thought that was incredible when they did it on PlayStation, but that's still not my cup of tea in games. You know what I'm saying? That I played. My favorite game, like I always say, my favorite game of all time is Xenogears, like the original Xenogears.
Yeah, Square Enix.
That, and then like Dragon Age. You know what I'm saying? Mass Effect 2. Like those are the games that I actually like to play. The style of game that I like to play.
Mass Effect 2 is amazing. Yeah, for me, like I definitely played Mega Man 1 through 3. I never played 4, 5, and 6 on the NES, but I played the first 3, and then I played a little bit of Mega Man X, but I never got like far in it on the Super Nintendo. Mostly because I just never had the retro consoles growing up. I pretty much just would play whatever emulators I could get my hands on, or if some of them had Game Boy Advance ports like Mario Brothers 3 and Mario World, I would always play like kind of the Game Boy Advance version of those games, because those were a lot of fun. But my favorite game growing up, probably favorite game of all time, is Dark Forces. I don't know if you guys have ever played that, but it's like my favorite Star Wars game ever.
Love it. Yeah, that's a great one, man. That's a great one. Let's see here. For me, I think as far as some of my favorites, the ones that I can always remember always playing, for me, Super Mario 64 was always a classic for me that really just won me over. I absolutely loved it when I first picked up my Nintendo 64. Super Mario 64 will always live as one of my favorites. And then I was also a really big fan of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 is one of my favorite video games I've ever played. It's one of the reasons why I even purchased a PlayStation to begin with. And
8 was better.
oh God, don't even say such blasphemy. Oh, that game is just atrocious, bro. Like, I know, hey, if you liked it, then hey, more power to you, man. But no, 7 was always my favorite. I always loved just how massive it was. I don't think I've ever played a game that big before. I loved 7. 9 was actually pretty fun too. That kind of went more back to its fantasy realm of things. And then 10, when you got, Yuna and I can't remember the main character's name. 10 to me was pretty awesome also. So yeah, I used to love me some RPGs in Final Fantasy, but as I've gotten older, I've definitely enjoyed more like first person shooters, some good action adventure games, that type of stuff. Second question, do you think why Spider-Man No Way Home has been getting lots of anticipation compared to Avengers Endgame is because it has to do with having multiple villains from the past Spidey films and possibly the return of Toby and Andrew? We know that Avengers was all about having many different superheroes in one movie, which casual moviegoers only know some of the characters from the comic books or animated series. So do you think a lot of the anticipation is coming from the multiple villains and the return of Toby and Andrew?
I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I honestly think it's coming from just the fact that the Spider-Man movies have been good. I think it's the I think what helps the Spider-Man No Way Home is what we've gotten from Disney thus far. The fact that Doctor Strange is in the movie, the fact that WandaVision, everything that's leading up to this could have something to do with it is what goes on. I think Endgame was a different monster when it came to it. I think Endgame was the finale of this epicness, that we had, that it didn't have to deal with how many heroes we had in one movie, with how many we had left. It was a difference in what was going on, and we were left on such a cliffhanger, that we wanted to see how that was going to end. With this, it's not that we were left on a cliffhanger, it's that something big is happening. And that this is a gear in that, machine that's turning for finality to come for something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I'm more eager to see how this attaches to what's going on in the MCU rather than seeing how this ends for Spider-Man to start off with.
I get you. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Are you gonna say something else, Stuart?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think another thing that really helped with the anticipation for this movie was Spider-Man, for a small amount of time, being taken out of the MCU when we had that announcement that Sony and Marvel's partnership had suddenly ended. I think when we thought we were no longer going to get Tom Holland as Spider-Man back, I think that's what got us more anticipated for this movie, was when Disney said, we changed our minds and we're renewing his contract for 2 more movies. I think that's what got everyone excited. And I think also a mixture of that, plus because of the cliffhanger that we ended on in the previous movie, I think it's just kind of a few factors like that really build into the anticipation and the, leaks and everything that have been coming out. And I say leaks loosely because I do think they're on purpose by Sony and Disney in order to build up anticipation. I think, that just really helps on top of all that. I think a lot of what we see with Spider-Man's marketing had to have been planned to a small extent. Some of it could have happened by accident, but I think a majority of it, especially when it comes to the idea of taking him out of the MCU, announcing that he's out of the MCU, and announcing that he's back in the MCU, I feel like that had to have been planned. And I think they knew that was going to help build up anticipation for the film.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of everything that you guys have mentioned already. I mean, I do think the possible return of Toby and Andrew certainly do go a long way, but I think it's definitely a mixture of a lot of that. And my last question is, why has the long anticipated James Cameron Avatar sequel have not been released or revealed in details? The first movie came out more than a decade ago in 2009. That's crazy. Could it be the filmmakers think it's a huge risk that it might be a flop, both in box office and critically, especially with additional sequels to be released next year and all the way towards 2030? I think, listen, I think there probably is a level of the company understanding how big of a risk this is. But I think also it's a matter of one, these movies are just freaking huge as it is. Like, I wouldn't surprise me if each of these movies are like 3 hours long, honestly, Stuart. But I also think it's James Cameron, and I think he wants to get it right. I feel like James Cameron is a perfectionist. It feels as though, I want to say almost everything this man touches is gold. But I mean, if you look at James Cameron's track record, he's got a pretty good one when it comes to the box office. Terminator was fantastic. Avatar was great at the box office. Titanic and Avatar both held the biggest box office worldwide for decades. So I do think there's a lot riding on it. Clearly, I think it's very risky for them to do this, but I think the production company, I think they believe in James Cameron, and I think James Cameron believes in what he's doing. And I think he's a perfectionist. I think he wants to make sure that these movies are not flops and that they're just these epic sort of life-changing films that will definitely last way past its time. But what do you think, Stuart?
Man, your answer is so much more optimistic than mine. Even though I love James Cameron and I actually did really enjoy the first Avatar movie, I think what it just comes down to is I don't think he has like an actual plan for the sequels, but he knows that he's built this really epic world that people want to see more of. So I think that's just what he's struggling with, is how does he get to develop this world, and what new thing can you possibly add to it that hasn't been done before. I think that's like the big disadvantage that he has with Avatar, because as great as Avatar looked when it first came out, at the time that they first started production on Avatar, it was supposed to look like something completely out of this world, because what they were planning on it looking like, what it actually looked like in 2010, that was supposed to be what it looked like in the early 2000s. And of course, discovering that it takes that long to finish that type of animation, it made it so it was really, it made it so like by the time it came out, while it was still impressive, it wasn't as impressive as like it could have been, because a few years later we get movies that are on par with Avatar essentially, and those movies didn't take 10 years to make. And I feel like that's kind of the disadvantage he has with the sequel. He might be introducing some cool new techniques and technology into this movie, but because of how fast technology will move, I feel like his biggest fear is that once it gets released 2 or 3 years later, this impressive new test screening that we got is going to be like one-upped by something else that didn't take that long to make, something that took probably just about a year and a half in the works. I don't know.
Well, I think James Cameron's in the same vein as George Lucas, in the sense that they always push technology to the forefront. So
yeah.
I do feel like when it comes to the tech-wise sort of thing, I think maybe that is another thing when it comes to this movie, is that maybe they're just using brand new techniques and technology that have not been used before to make sure that these sequels do hold up. But we'll see. What do you think, Indy? Why do you think it's taken so long for this movie, the Avatar movies, the sequels, to be released?
Because they suck.
I love this. I love it.
I wasn't a fan of the first one, although I thought it looked amazing and stuff like that. I really felt like it was just Fern Gully live action.
Okay, shots fired, James Cameron.
Yeah. And Fern Gully was a better movie. I'm sorry.
I love it. All right, guys. I think other than that, I think that will wrap it up for us today. So that's all the live questions, guys.
What he's talking about, I should get. I've had the Galaxy Fold 3 since 2 weeks before launch.
Oh,
and it's not a better phone than the S21 Ultra.
Ooh, okay. I'll make note of that then when I go and find my new phone. But thank you very much, guys, for everybody's participation here this week, giving your questions and your thoughts and discussions, really adding to this week's show. We told you it was going to be a packed episode, so I certainly hope you guys definitely enjoyed it. But as always, we definitely will be back next weekend live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time, unless something certainly comes up. Maybe you'll get one of us, maybe you'll get two of us, maybe you'll get three of us. That's a surprise of joining joining us each and every week. Okay, well, he spoiled it. Spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Indy will be here next week.
I was supposed to be a C2E2, but because of how COVID goes, even though I'll be negative by then and out and running, it hadn't been 72 hours, so now I can't go to C2E2.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, buddy. Next year we'll get you out
Next year we'll be out there.
But Indy, if people do want to follow you on social media, where can people find you at?
You can follow me right here at APlus Hero Report. First and foremost, come join us over on the Facebook. Lots of news and reviews, and you can follow me at the Nerd Mix Alpha everywhere.
Awesome, Indy. And of course, Stuart, if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you, sir?
Of course, you guys can find me here on this channel doing reviews for APlus Hero Report, but you guys can also find me on my Twitter at TurboStew01.
Awesome.
He has an amazing Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, definitely check it out. But other than that, guys, again, if you want to follow us, you can certainly do so right here at APlus Opinions. Very active over on Twitter, along with our main Facebook page, which our main Facebook page is exactly where we post all of the news articles throughout the week, posters, trailers, memes to keep you up to date. And then we pull those stories to certainly talk about here each and every week. So definitely follow us on our Facebook page and definitely check us out over on Instagram. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for us. So until next time, do us a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.